Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddy Cat, and you can find me, Roddy Cat, on Twitter. You can find me at News Need on Twitter and TB Caps on Instagram.
I brought it back.
Indeed.
Episode 401. We
I was
had
just
to hear
about
it
to say
again.
that. Yeah. But it's fine because, yes, indeed, it's episode 401 of this here Comic Book Chronicles. If you did not watch last week's, well, you really could. It was good.
It was a lot of fun.
It was. And definitely if you audio part of seeing a nice little drop of it. But we'll get to that in a minute. But agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram with the over there with the sound effects.
What's up, everybody?
Just with the lovely mixed bag full of audio drops for him. But that's what being that's what being a Brooklynite gets you.
Exactly.
And folks, you can find this here podcast on the Coastal the Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find this here podcast on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal the Podcast Network's SoundCloud page. That's that's pretty much it. But you can also find us, folks, as we record.
Oh, I was about to say, were you waiting for me to yell out, hit subscribe and hit like and leave us the 5-star reviews?
No, but since you already took that part out of the way, this will be where I will go so far as to say, hey, we record live every Thursday night, most Thursday nights, on the D-Click Nation's YouTube channel. That's DKLIQION. But you can also find us over on twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicle, all one word.
So hit like, subscribe, leave us 5-star reviews, whichever means that you use to take in our weekly content. Please hit subscribe and like and leave us the great reviews.
Yeah. Like I said, hopefully we will get the Twitch thing happen, that we can allow us to got some stuff. But for right now, though, got a show. A rhyme that I didn't intend to make, but things happen. We're going to start off with books of the week. Starting off with Strange Academy number 17.
That's right. No, number 7.
17.
I was about to say, the reason why Roddy Cat made that little faux pas is because we were literally talking about the pace that the story has been developing at, and whether or not we're going to get more developments as we kind of progress towards the natural breaking or the natural stopping points for a trade paperback publication. That's probably where that came from.
No,
I also wanted to. What's that?
No, so I know that actually came from because I wrote 17 in the notes in the show notes for some stupid reason.
No, it's just a typo. Here I am trying to save Roddy Cat from a simple typo, but
yeah,
too late.
Not quite. Yeah,
I good enough.
Make sure I didn't do it didn't do it on the Twitter notification, but I did it in the show note thing.
That is so funny. I mean, there's a little bit of pep in my step because I just got the notification that the Rangers just beat Buffalo in overtime. So, I would play the goal song, but we should move on. We should keep the show moving.
Indeed.
For this issue of Strange Academy number 7, it's written by Scotty Young, with art by Humberto Ramos, and colors by Edgar Delgado, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. I will say right off the bat that this is a potential click of the week for me. This is the aftermath of the confrontation with the Hollow. And what I was telling Roddy Cat earlier was that aside from the obvious parallels between the Strange Academy and the Hogwarts School for Wizarding and Witchcraft, there's definitely some parallels in that there is an underlying I don't want to say mystery, but there are definitely things that the staff and the teachers at the Strange Academy, much like at Hogwarts, are not revealing to the students, and it is up to the storytellers and the students to reveal those those secrets to both the reader and the students as time has gone on. We are already in issue number 7, and some of the secrets and mysteries have come to light over the last few issues as the students have tried to strike out on their own and try to execute a rescue mission, and seemingly at the cost of the life of one of their own. And that's where we find ourselves at the beginning of this issue.
Actually, almost 2 of them. Thanks to find out in this issue.
Right, over the course of this issue.
Right. Found out that seemingly was brought back from bring through means that they have seemingly but we also find out that, well, we like, this is not a big surprise for anybody who's read Doctor Strange for any of the time, especially years, that Doctor Strange is kind of falling back in some real habits when he's stressed, when he feels stressed. That's not necessarily that's not an excuse, but sometimes
it still made me laugh. It made me laugh because I'm like, yeah, there we go, Doctor Strange. There's a Doctor Strange we know.
Exactly. So I was like, wow, that didn't take you like you just went from 0 to 60 like real quick. I'm like, wow.
Well, what I was going to say is I think that is the actual medical doctor in him that I think is jumping out. He definitely treats the situation much like bringing an injured and very critical patient into an operating room, into an emergency room and or an operating room. So that definitely, that particular parallel, I kind of, I don't know if you've ever been inside one, but I definitely felt that same vibe, and it made some sense. But at the same time, he's also the head. No, he's not the headmaster. Jericho is the headmaster, correct?
Correct.
But he's essentially he's the namesake of the school, so he kind of has a vested interest in the school and its students, and his attitude towards one Emily Bright isn't exactly helping matters here. But at the same time, given that they are apparently gifted magical users, you kind of have to maybe hold the kid gloves back, especially given the circumstances. So there's lots of questions here that come up as a result of what we see happen over the course of the issue. But the few things that are sort of answered and the questions that come as a result of what is revealed really make this a super strong issue. 7 issues in, I was talking to Roddy Cat earlier about whether or not this is going to constitute the first issue of the second trade paperback arc, kind of leading into the next 6 issue, kind of group of issues that would form the next volume of the trade paperback.
Right.
And it seems like this is a good place as any to start. Whereas what happens to Doyle Dormammu at the end of issue 6 seems like a good cliffhanger to end on. for the first 6 issues and maybe getting people to come and buy the next trade, wanting to know what's next. So
Although, yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Although I'm trying to think about what happens at the end of 5. I don't know. We just make it a 5 issue. I don't remember 5 outside Catalyst.
right, they're in the middle of their confrontation. I think that's when they initially come upon the Hollow,
Right.
and I think all that kind of bleeds from 5 into 6, and 6 ends with what happens to Doyle, and now we have the like I said, it seems like a natural cliffhanger ending for the first 6 issue. It's not necessarily an arc, but it's definitely a natural stopping point for the trade.
Right. So I don't know. That'll be something interesting. I would imagine. Wait, because this is for April, just between either or probably be listed. I don't know.
That's a good question. I'm not sure. Obviously, given pandemic publishing
Right.
scheduling, we definitely have seen some changes over the last year and change. So, we'll see. We'll keep our eyes on the solicits, though.
Right. And even then, like I don't know how many people that far down into this.
Well, it's our responsibility as hosts of the show, right?
Well, I mean, I'm just
We also
even
try
in
not
that
to
though.
spoil ourselves, but it happens.
Well, exactly. Like even at that, because let's be honest, like even when we do, it's like single. Let's just check out some of the ones that we're interested. Maybe scrape through some of the once it starts getting to AIDS and maybe I don't know. But regardless, yeah, this I we've it's been said on the show before. We love Strange Academy. I think I can speak for both of us and say that.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I know there are people who don't like magic, that kind of stuff, but even and it even with the art style, it kind of seems like it's more of an all ages book, but it's kind of not. Like yes,
I was about to say it's definitely geared towards younger readers, but not the youngest readers.
right.
So it's definitely tween and teen oriented, I believe.
Yeah, I'd go with that. But I guess the other couple of things else to say about this definitely is pick up on some stuff kind of since the first issue. And they seem to be they do a decent job about like dropping a nugget on at least once per issue, or if not, like in this one, we kind of get back to not necessarily the main protagonist because kind of focus
Or at least the main mystery.
exactly.
I think it's the main mystery because if I'm not mistaken, they kind of led with her being the least magically gifted. If I'm not mistaken.
Well, no, I think well, basically she just came into her powers at a certain point. Matter of fact, I think they've gone so far.
Well, no, I was about to say they've developed that she might be the most,
Right.
but
I think
if I'm
going into
mistaken, if I'm not mistaken, the first issue kind of teases that, or at least the other students are just like she can't do anything, or something like that. I'd have to go back now,
and
6 issues back,
right.
and
see.
see.
Go back and check that out.
But that's what I recall. So not exactly ugly duckling to swan, but definitely kind of burying the lead there, at least initially.
And again, some of the stuff they've kind of some of the mysteries, or at least one or two. I feel like there's still another mystery or two up in the air because like there's a couple other students had some that's even come out on at least one of them. And we still don't necessarily know that an event that happened in this issue. Uh, well, we have no reason to believe that it doesn't have anything him and her powers. her range of powers might be, or might be something else that might be going on. Connection to her and one of the other. Oh,
Yeah, I was about to say the April 21 solicits actually don't have an issue of Strange Academy in it, so there might be a skip month.
well.
No, because
Yeah,
if you
no,
think
I know that
about it,
doesn't
we
necessarily
definitely
mean
had a
anything, but
couple of those, at least one of those,
right.
since publishing has come back for Strange Academy. We haven't gotten a steady um, schedule. It's more
Yeah,
than likely just an art thing, but you
well,
never know. They might be catching up to. They may have to catch up with King and Black at some point.
I was gonna actually mention that because thankfully a book that hasn't been touched by King. Yeah, being that you said that, that was something I was thinking about. That may I'm kind of hoping not, but at the same time, I know like it's line of wide.
Mm-hmm.
But I imagine even if they do, it'll probably be like because like Fantastic Four is
Yeah, next issue.
probably talk to a little bit. But that being said, I guess we can move on. But Strange Academy is good. It's still can pick this out. Have
Mm-hmm.
any sort of book
Absolutely.
I
Potential
would
click of the week for me this week. It was a lot of fun to read.
and you will probably hear me say this again in upcoming show that we're doing. Yeah, more eyes.
Definitely.
That being said, we shall push on to
Sure.
Shang-Chi #5, the last issue of this miniseries.
It's written by Jean Luen Yang with art by DK Ruan and Philip Tan and colors by Sebastian Cheng and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So Shang-Chi, Sister Dagger, and Brother Saber take it to Sister Hammer. Oh, it's so just the way that kind of rolls off the tongue, right?
Mm-hmm. It almost sounds like the sound of a joke,
That's
but
essentially where we start. You could take us forward.
I was about to say it kind of sounds like the start of a joke, but no, not really. This what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Sister Hammer, who is Shang-Chi's actual sister, or I guess adopted, not blood
No,
relative.
I was about to say I think it's half. They are all blood. All of them are blood relatives.
Are they? So that
That
was the
was
part
my
I was
at
kind of
least
wondered about. Yeah.
through Zheng Zhu.
Okay. So that was I was the part I was not connecting. That was it was like because especially which I guess we'll get into because some of this has been kind of mentioned in past issues about the relationship
Mm-hmm.
and in relation to father. I wasn't because I feel like it they made some things saying it was like nah she's like maybe I don't know how to go back and read it. Didn't make it seem like she's blood and more like she's like adopted or something. But like I go back and check that out. So regardless, like Agent 70 said, they pretty much so Sister Hammer has pretty much started attacking London with a bunch of Jiangxi zombies, uh, and and MI6 is trying to defend, which they're not doing that great, but they're doing about as best they could. And then here comes Shang-Chi and crew on a helicarrier that as I said in my notes, I was like, well, if T'Challa could do it for Wakanda, why not? Whoever master was this custom helicarrier that they come riding in on. I can't see them doing a figure. I mean, model of, but say probably should between that one and the Wakanda helicarrier, but that's me. Um, but regardless, they come in and it ends up being a fight between zombies, which that part kind of gets dealt with fairly recently. But also, Shang-Chi's fighting not only just zombies, hammer, but also his injuries from the. beginning of this, uh, but that ends up going save the day. But as I say in my notes, it's like, yeah, at the end of it all, is pretty much they end up fighting their daddy issue almost. Well.
Right. And this definitely lays the groundwork for, at least in my opinion, this lays the groundwork for the movie in the broadest sense, because they are definitely not going back to Shang's or main origin. We're definitely going with the kind of rebooted origin that was um, that was created in the mid 2000s, in the early mid 2000s, I think. And now they're refining it, giving more depth to that story of Zhengzhou being, a more modern crime lord. So
yeah, and well, it also sets up because we do know from articles of the past book, I believe it's one shot.
but they also tease at the end of this issue that Shang's going to return. It might be another miniseries,
Correct.
probably timed closer to whenever the movie hopefully comes out. So
Well, see, that's the part I was thinking, because I was wondering, like, is this setting up for that one shot, or is that what you just said is the case? Like, that's what
I
kind
think
of
it's
curious about.
more likely that they're setting up more than just a one shot, because um, I think the one shot is obviously there for additional exposure, but at the same time, it seems unlikely that they would say, that they would tease something like that at the end of the issue that he's going to return, and just follow up with a one shot.
Yeah.
That's just that's my opinion. So
Best case scenario, an ongoing, but
yeah, I was about to say in this environment, unfortunately, I think they're starting to resort to limited series of the 6 to 12 issue variety.
yeah. And even though this was one of those, or they do like multiple, or Black Widow
Right.
Friday, which have done the same some point. Who's to say what the kind of scene decisions are on that kind of stuff? Well, outside
Right.
of the
And
fact
funny,
that
I was about to say it's funny that, growing up, we never thought of things like that, right?
never had
You know,
to, yeah,
we've been doing this show for long enough during this particular climate and environment in the comic book industry where sometimes those are the first thoughts that come to mind.
sadly, yeah. You hate that it's the case, but we are with it.
Yep.
Um, in good ways and good and bad ways. Because like I said, there are some I feel like that we would probably love them to have that they are not in relations to movie to comic book synergies. And as a matter of fact, I have not had in the past. And think about like the way they did Black Panther. So that did end up
Right.
weird thing how they treat
All right. We do get I was about to
lesser lesser
just to
properties, lesser
I was about to say
thought out
to
properties. Hmm?
I was just going to say, just to supplement what I was mentioning earlier, it looks like we get an issue of Strange Academy in March, but not April. So it's probably just a scheduling thing. So
It's something other.
rather than just a skip month because they need to catch up.
Right. And I know there's been a couple of those other books probably coming up next month or not, for reasons that I actually might actually get into. regardless, that was Shang-Chi number 5. It's overall, I think I enjoyed this miniseries. Like wrap up to it and the resolution, kinda. All told, it was like yeah, okay, sure. That's part of it ended up being yeah. We should have known how that was
Right.
that way.
But I think it effectively sets up a new status quo.
Right.
It gives Shang a little bit more of so it gives him a little bit more substance to work with. It does, obviously, as we've said before on the show, echo a little bit of what Brubaker and Fraction did with Iron Fist by giving him, giving Iron Fist's um, backstory, some depth and additional characters for the Marvel universe as a whole to play with. So that's something that Gene Luen Yang has done here in this Shang-Chi, just in this one miniseries.
And well, I think.
Well, at the end of the day, it draws on the original idea of um, uh, 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 Shang-Chi's main nemesis being his father,
Right.
but creating, creating that additional, it's definitely a play on the original Yellow Claw. I hate to say it, but the original Yellow Claw, now Zhang Zhu. It's obviously based on that original concept of being a Chinese nationalist and even a nativist and even a traditionalist to an extreme degree, and really taking that and extrapolating some concepts that really made some sense, and now we've got like this whole this whole nest of characters that he can draw upon, that anyone can draw on. So
I'm hoping, kind of hoping whoever does.
I hope so too.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, that's that. Or two. Oh, I was going to also say, hopefully we can. This is goes far enough away that we think Chi.
I try to forget that.
I try to too, but sometimes it comes back up, and this is
You
doing.
keep bringing it up. I try to forget.
Looks, can't just forget it in the back. But this
It's
is making up
unfortunately
for
on
it.
Marvel Unlimited, so it's hard to forget.
Yeah. Past that. But regardless, we're gonna go to another book. One you got one you wanna throw out there?
X-Men 17.
Is that the natural point? Because I feel like okay, never mind. Oh, that's fine.
What's that?
No, because I was about to say because so I don't know about how you read this week's X books, and they still kind of have while they're not in any
order?
chronological order, but because they're not really placed one after the other. Like you're at the point now where you can kind of read them pretty much any order.
Right. That's the way I choose to read them.
Mm-hmm.
I know that this week the reading order was New Mutants 15, Excalibur, Wolverine, and then X-Men.
According to the back of the book, right? But
Right.
they don't have anything. But I've read it. I think I read Excalibur, New Mutants.
I read X-Men first, just because I pulled this book and I wanted to see where they were going, because I knew that this issue involved space adventure. Mm-hmm. So I guess we can cover the X corner of the Marvel Universe and then maybe go into rapid fire covering the rest of our books. This issue is written by Jonathan Hickman with pencils by Brett Booth. Shout out to @TimDog98. Inks by Adelso Corona. Colors by Sonny Go. And letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. This is actually another potential click of the week for myself. In this issue, Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Storm are called by Deathbird. I want to say of all people, but if you've been keeping up with the Shi'ar, or the Shi'ar. Gotta love pronunciations.
Yeah, we still haven't
Uh,
really come down on that one yet.
yeah, at the end of the day, either way implies, gets the point across. We're talking about a particular alien race in Marvel, in the Marvel universe. Um, they're called by Deathbird to help solve the kidnapping of the young majestic Zandra Niramani. Just to fill people in on what's been happening in Shi'ar space, that Kalark, otherwise known as Gladiator, the praetor of the Imperial Guard, has stepped down from ruling the Shi'ar Empire in favor of going back to being just the praetor of the Imperial Guard, instead installing or having the a young Zandra Niramani take the throne, with Deathbird as a counselor. Um, and apparently there is some there's a plot against the against the throne by a race of um, aliens that obviously the Shi'ar have been portrayed, at times being somewhat neutral, maybe a little benevolent, maybe a little bit, you know, uh, malignant, a little bit malevolent, depending upon the needs of the story. But it's an empire, so that means there uh, are worlds and alien races that are kind of subjugated, as a result of their empire building. And one of those races, the Stygians or the Stygians,
The
uh,
Stygian.
right, exactly. These are one of those things that, without someone from Marvel giving us um, the word on how to pronounce it, we're just going to kind of fumble along. They decide to make a move against the crown because they're tired of being pooped upon like Triumph the Insult Comic Dog. So um, Deathbird makes a call because remember, she's still connected to one sunspot.
Which is
And
the craziest thing still to me, because it took me halfway in the middle of this book. But when she mentioned him early on, she didn't call him by name, and I totally forgot. Oh, right, that's a thing that happened back in New Mutants.
right, right. And she makes a call, and two members of X Factor, I mean,
Yes,
Cyclops, Jean Grey in their X Factor costumes. I'm like,
I
really?
I was hoping you was going to mention that, because I loved the hell out of seeing.
I was like, whoa, that was wild to see, man.
Mm-hmm.
And Storm, she basically calls, three of the most powerful X-Men to come and run the or at least head up the investigation into the kidnapping of the Empress, and or the Empress in waiting. And they basically make their way um through their investigation, and come up against uh he's apparently a priest of the
Right,
Stygians or the Stygians.
right.
And
He's basically a zealot.
right, and at the end of the day, there's a lot of really cool action in this. This definitely looked and felt like a 90s X-Men issue. Very 90s, somewhat 2000s, and obviously Brett Booth being behind the art has a little bit to do with that. Sunny Go on colors, obviously keeps things consistent because Sunny colored lots of Lainil Yu's art. I sent a message. This is a little bit of back channel stuff. I sent a message that Tim Dog 98 probably didn't get to see yet today, but he's an acknowledged fan of Brett Booth. And while I've never been completely enamored with his art, I think his art here is really strong. And
Yeah,
I wonder if it's thanks in part to, that is, uh, the inks of Adelso Corona.
I kind of feel like, so there is one panel in particular where things start popping off, and a particular bolt strike one of the bad guys, and you get a little comment between Scott and Aurora talking about was that you or me basically, and it was like
Oh yeah.
hard to tell, and I feel like part of that might have something that might have been a halfway nod to the art, but I doubt that. But it was just funny how that played out. But it was cool to see.
Yeah.
It's like we both had the same idea, so whoop, you know. But yeah, that being the case though, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say Shi'ar because '90s X-Men 1, 2, that's logical to me. I don't know.
Is that what they say in the cartoon? That's what I was gonna ask.
I want to say they do, but they may also that might be one of those things like they do in Clone Wars where they go back and forth like tweet Twilight, but I'm not entirely sure.
Now that makes me want to go back and check.
Because I feel like
listen, I definitely have not dove back into 90s animated X-Men since it's hit Disney Plus. So this might actually be worth a little bit of research to take a look.
And because remember I told you like last year I was doing a rewatch of it and I finished that last year. I'm slightly more familiar. I was actually gonna reason why I bring up the Shi'ar is also because one, there was a plot against the throne that wasn't started by Death. Because classically she was the one trying to wrest the throne from her sister
Right.
mother is. But now once again she's council throne, which I admittedly I enjoyed this issue much the same like Agent 70 did. Also, I don't know if this would count, but the first couple of pages may have some just slight hints of Hickman mumbo jumbo to them. That may not be the case, but read them, it was kind of like, yeah, definitely a Hickman book.
Oh sure.
And Hickman being the shepherd of the current X books now, or between him and other folks writing.
Right. This is also I was about to say this is also Hickman touching upon some of the stories he told revolving around Cannonball, Smasher, and Sunspot back when he was doing the expanded Avengers roster. Mm-hmm. So that was nice to see Hickman bring them back into the fold. And obviously there is a gate, a Krakoan gate. In my notes, I made sure to note that a Krakoan gate makes it easy for Cannonball and Sunspot to spend their time on both Chandalar and Krakoa.
Exactly. Which it seems to be going one way with them on that, because like every time we've seen him, it's pretty much been, which right, it makes sense because Cannonball and his family are Chandalar, and the X-Men, the Krakoans got a foothold into that because an earlier book, an earlier thing, or well before.
No, I was about to say it's one of the earliest gates that they established,
right?
If I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
So
like early on in the X-Men books, yeah. As a matter of fact, speaking of foothold, so action happens. The R3 X-Men, which when they can hold their own to a certain point, but also Smasher kind of gets into the fray with the Smasher Corps, tend to want to call them.
Well, I was about to say that's another. I was about to say that's another concept that I believe Hickman introduced about the Super Guardian program.
Right.
I don't think that originated in the X pages, in the books in the pages of the X books. So I believe that came up in his Avengers work.
That sounds about right, because that's when Izzy, who's the Super Guardian and head Super Guardian, comes in play. And Cannonball and starts a romance. But yes, definitely all of that kind of comes out in, which is still a great read, by the way, if you haven't checked stuff going into. that's a different franchise. But there was something else I was going to say.
Oh, the voting.
Yeah, I was gonna get that out also, but there was something else about the action and going into. Oh, there we go. Because of the events of this happens, which seems weirdly out of. It's not necessarily out of place, but we know there's some things that's going to happen this year with Storm, like supposedly a big thing surrounding her. But we come to find out that because of her, helping Sandra, that she basically gets a favor that she can call in on times that she wishes. And they seem to kind of make a note of that, like front and
Oh
center.
yeah, they make a point of emphasis. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and we, like I said, knowing that we know that it's going to be a thing, we figure that that's definitely going to be that favor is going to be called back in. Probably. I'm not sure when that whole thing's supposed to start, but I know with her. And we also know that she's trying to leave Krakoa, so that
All right.
going forward.
Right. Just lastly, what I mentioned earlier about the vote. The vote for the final member of the first X-Men team on Krakoa is now live. It actually started. It actually went live, technically yesterday, January 27th, and will remain up until midnight, February 2nd, Eastern Standard Time. So at the back, you'll see it on social media. Roddy Cat probably has it in the news.
Sure do.
That the ballots are out, and you can vote online at marvel.com/X-Men vote.
So yeah, there's an interesting group of folks, but we'll get to that later. There's an interesting good folks past. Some have already been on the team, some are. But we'll see how that goes. So that being the case, we can push on to Excalibur.
All right, I was about to say after this we'll do rapid then.
Oh, I figured we are gonna just.
I was about to say there's a lot of X books.
Yeah, it's only a couple.
Let's just do it quickly.
Excalibur,
all right, Excalibur, written by Teeny Howard, with art by Marcus Toe, colors by Eric Arciniega, and letters by Tom Muller, not from someone at VC. Go ahead.
Wait, Excalibur?
Yeah.
Oh, you talking about the Tatamoto doing the for the overall the letter was from VC. But regardless, so yeah, so in this issue, we come to find out that Betsy Braddock of 616 apparently is very much alive, but has been displaced to another timeline. And which is weird because I was like, okay, so I'm thinking about what happened to this universe. He ends up.
Oh, apologies. It's VC's Ariana Mayer.
Right. That's what I was like. Wait.
That's the letterer because Tom Muller is the design. Right. I skipped over a name there. Look at that.
Right.
So VC's all over the place.
They definitely are, and actually, I want to look into that some because I'm curious about how that came under. And like I know they have companies where they, but I'm like slightly curious about how that works. But anyway, so Betsy Braddock, we found out.
I was about to say VC is, I think, the studio.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. It was like I wonder how that came about and how that.
It's Chris Eliopoulos' lettering studio, virtual calligraphy. That's the.
That.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Hey, what has he been doing?
He's been writing, if I'm not mistaken. That's probably why he put a studio together for letterers.
Yeah, because I was like, because I've always seen the letters and I never knew what that was and who was involved with it. That's actually good. So thank you. But back to Excalibur number 17, Betsy Braddock, that we find out is very much alive, but she's in another mention timeline, multiverse,
Reality.
reality.
Exactly.
Thank you. Where we just don't know what happened to the other version of her, even though they kind of trying to get back to this reality, her main, how the other act. But regardless, we also see um, the other members of X Factor basically trying to move to the White House, because they figure, well, Betsy's going to be coming back, then she'll probably be coming back to the White House in case. But out and some wisdom. I don't know for later Excalibur fans. Never a big fan of his, but going to find out that one of the human factors have a beef. Captain Britain's not around, and
It's one of the magic people.
right, exactly.
The British magic people, because remember, that's definitely played a big part in the pages of Excalibur from its inception, from its relaunch here in the Dawn of X, going into Reign of X.
Right, specifically human magic people. So that's definitely
right. But definitely magic people and the magic that emanates in and around jolly old England. So
that factions were like, well, we don't have Captain Britain, and just like and they would if Brian was still around, they would like, yeah, they would try to put him back, which we're gonna find out that why, because people having a hard time with one, because I feel like there's an under woman, because that might be speculation on my part. Regardless,
right. I was about to say they are led by the Queen after all. And speaking of queens, it turns out, did you mention this, that Betsy has been transported as a result of what happened with Saturnine in Ten of Swords? He's been transported to a reality in which Betsy ends up being the Queen of England.
Right, another version of her was
right.
Was made.
And we we get the outpouring of love from the royal subjects when it's implied, well, when the story is given that the queen isn't feeling all that well. What ends up happening as Roddy Cat mentioned, Betsy's making her way to the traditional lighthouse, which in this particular reality has been transformed into something else, into British intelligence, basically. And she is trying to make her way there with the aid of one Quanon. And hijinks ensue, both in between them and on their mission to get Betsy back to the point, I guess the nexus point of all realities, or at least of realities that Captain Britain's can reach otherworld through.
Right, and actually, yeah, and that became about Warren Worthington of apparently is, let's say, quite friendly Queen, but also it was ex of Quanon of apparently can't stay with Shylock.
I was about to say it's the other way around.
What?
Isn't it? Isn't Quanon the current?
No.
And Betsy's the ex?
No.
Oh, it's the other way around?
Yeah, it's the other way around. Yeah. Because Quanon even makes a about that. But no. Warren's a little friendly with the queen of the queen version of and we know from in our reality, Betsy and Warren has had ties to each other. But yeah, in reality, Quanon's the ex, and the queen, the. But there's, because he's American, there's like. Well, we also come to find out that in that reality that things are a whole lot better for mutants because Queen and Minister, so mutants fare a whole lot better in this reality. Sounds like
In England.
any of them.
In England specifically, that's
Right.
that's one thing that they stress is
Right.
that England it turns out to be the safest country for all mutants. So
Right, but between that reality, Betsy and the Prime Minister, they drew, knowing I guess full well that Universal and they drew up a thing that we get to see data pages on about any other Betsy's coming through, or I guess anybody else coming through, trying to see how different they are, or trying to come there for respite, basically trying to get away from their reality. I don't do fiscally, but we get to see data pages on kind of, and I'm kind of wondering if that's gonna come back, and I kind of doubt it, but kind of interesting way stuff like brought up. But to end up the last part of yeah, we get X Factor in our reality trying to fight the human magic folks until Bessie. And I know this is from it's definitely from solicits that out to because even I said in my notes before, first couple of pages like why does it feel like body swap? And I felt like halfway through here that probably was going to happen unintentionally, but it thankfully that would have been weird to kind of go back to doing. But they do kind of mention that and cause some level of on that reality. But also, I feel partially of what we coming up in for April, there's going to be we'll see how that goes. I guess since you wanted to kind
we got a lot of books to go through. So and we read a lot of the same stuff. So we could go on and on about some of them.
okay.
So
In that phase,
in the interest of getting through literally 4 X books, we've already gone through 2. We've got 2 more. So let's spin this up and we can talk about the rest of the books that we have on tap this week.
Top Edge Fader, folks.
Right. So as Roddy Cat mentioned, there are 2 other X books that are in the reading order. And I'll let him cover New Mutants. It's written by Vita Ayala with art by Rod Rice, letters by VC's Travis Lanham. And, we start off with the Shadow King's Machinations.
Yeah, pretty much. And there's really not much to say about that. So which the timing of this between coming out of Swords is kind of, because obviously it says at some point in here there's some time has passed, but there's a big party for Doug and his new after their honeymoon already happened. As a celebration of that, but at the same time, there's also the I guess the OG New Mutants have been tasked partially due to their own train up the younger generations and how to use their powers and synergize with others of their other young, so they can get some team ups going on and kind of bond with other whatever happens, and obviously just kind of keep them sharp and keep specifically. But so we see some a little bit of training going on, but we also see, as Agent 70 said, some Shadow King machinations going on in the background with some younger kids that seemingly bring going into the issue with a couple in particular. But there's also, like the big party that's going on for. And there was an interesting part where, well, interesting to me part where Scout, who is not Wolverine, or both being clones of that, being a little left out because of Dakin, who another clone of Wolverine, you know, she wanted to spend time with, but X Factor gets some X Factor love from Aurora.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's a couple things that, and I'm kind of funny how that's showing up in this book, but I get why. But also, I'm like, I'm not sure that's leading to something. I just don't know, because I feel like that should be an X Factor and not here for some reason. But again, we also know that all of the X kind of blend parts of it. But also, we also find out that Rain is having a moment because she wants her back, who's a little moment with that, her and Danny, and some other things that. But I'm still been enjoying it. Wherever this Shadows King going, find out.
Yeah. I think I have anything to add. Oh, I do have something to add on New Mutants number 15, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, Reigns struggles because she's having an issue with the resurrection protocols regarding, spoiler alert, but not really, her son.
Right.
So
Which is what I said.
I'm like, son, these are issues of X Factor I definitely did not read. Also, Cosmar, that nightmare mutant that kind of had a story arc dedicated to kind of her introduction and dealing with the scope of her powers, looks to Danny Moonstar, another kind of dream / nightmare powered mutant, to possibly solve her. Admittedly, you know, I hate to be flippant about it, but a tough look by going through the crucible. So that's, I think, another story thread that's going to be picked up on in the near future.
Right. Although that might, I suspect some of that might have some.
Possibly. But at the same time, you also, that's kind of like an old story amongst the X books and the mutants, especially. We all remember the Morlocks.
Right.
The mutants who weren't fortunate enough to possess powers that did not change their outward appearance. So, that definitely brings back that particular aspect of mutation. But moving on is Wolverine number 9, written by Benjamin Percy, with art by Adam Kubert, colors by Frank Martin, and letters by VC's Corey Pettit. I actually enjoyed the story a lot. It's a good story involving a Team X flashback and an auction in Madripoor of superhero artifacts. The Team X flashback, if for those of you that don't know, revolves around Wolverine's time as a brainwashed member of a secret agent hit squad with Maverick, who is a key part of this issue, and Sabretooth. One thing I would note is that this issue's cover actually has a scene that plays out in the book. So, contrary to what we always joke about in terms of cover is not necessarily paying off what's in the book. This one actually does, and it's a shocking cover. And it's not too much of a spoiler to reveal because it is the cover after all. But it reflects the severed hand, the severed right hand of Wolverine. And the reason why I bring that up specifically is that my first thought is that, oh, that's the hand from Age of Apocalypse Wolverine that has found its way into the Marvel 616. But it is the right hand, whereas the Wolverine in Age of Apocalypse lost his left hand. So that kind of torpedoed that theory I had right away. But this was a fun issue to read. Lots of cool action and just really well done graphic storytelling from Adam Kubert that really entices a reader to flip pages to see what's going to happen next.
So the a Star Wars character, right hands of a particular line at that quite often.
Or in a sense, because at the end of the day, this hand also has adamantium and claws. That's what's a little weird, So it's being auctioned obviously, and one of the I wanted to mention before we move on, one of the underlying one of the deep background stories that's being pursued in the pages of Wolverine is the vampire nation trying to replicate his healing factor, because that was one of the reasons why he was captured earlier on in the pages of Wolverine, and one of the reasons why the vampire nation has taken an interest in him. So all right, I think that covers the X books for the week, but we both read similar books, so let me continue rapid fire with some more books. Amazing Spider-Man number 58, written by Nick Spencer, pencils by Marcel Ferreira, inks by Wayne Foucher, and colors by Maury Hollowell, with letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. This is a follow-up on the Sin Eater's effects on Martin Lee, aka Mr. Negative. Meanwhile, Spidey goes to Liz Allen and discovers little Normie Osborn knows more than we thought. Spidey gets to cut loose against Negative's hard-to-kill minions, and a possible tease, this is my conjecture here, a possible tease of Kingpin's goals possibly matching his goals, or matching the Kingpin of the Into the Spider-Verse goal. I don't know if you caught that at the end of the issue.
Yes. I did actually. And yeah, that's definitely a thing that has come up in some way, shape. Can't say I was surprised by that, but yeah. I don't think I have anything else to add except for I think I say in my notes. I was being kind of flippant about this, but new arc or stop in the road, you decide. Because we see we basically see Martin Lee comes back. They're in some form. Mr. come back, so which Peter is battling his demons.
And obviously this is all playing off of, this is all related to the Sin Eater stuff that right. Spencer started in the previous arc.
Right, but we also get a nugget from talking about the Kingpin stuff. We get a nugget in Central Origins Kindred.
Right.
That's pretty much.
All right, next up is Daredevil number 26, written by Chip Zdarsky with art by Marco Cacchetto. I've heard that pronounced that way, so I'm going to adjust my pronunciation. The art is by Marco Cacchetto and Mike Hawthorne, with inks by Adriano Di Benedetto, colors by Marcio Meniz, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. This is an official King in Black tie-in. Matt is in jail and discovers that the warden actually has a vendetta against him. Dun, dun, dun. And Null's forces put both Matt and Elektra to the test. Next up is Fantastic Four number 28. I believe Roddy Cat read this as well. It's written by Dan Slott with art by R.B. Silva, whose name I'm going to forever burn into my head because that's the name I could not recall as being the other artist on Hoxpox, in addition to Perez. Oh my God, I can't believe his name just popped out of my head just now. But colors by Jesus Bertov, letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. We get at least a temporary resolution to the current storyline with the Griever wanting the Forever Gate. Jesus Bertov plays it a little coy with the coloration of the Surfer in this title, in this issue, that is. This happens before King in Black, which explains the Surfer's appearance here, and next month is the King in Black tie-in.
Yeah, that part was kind of weird to me. Like, okay, we know that the current things with Surfer is colorization. A couple of panels, or at least one specific panel where he's, which there was no reason.
They're definitely playing him. I was about to say they're definitely coloring him darker than they normally would if he was silver. So that's how, I had to come up with the word for it. I was like, he's just playing coy with it. He's kind of like,
I've just taken to calling him silver back.
Right, exactly. He's not yet the Fallen, but he's definitely Silver Surfer Black, as the Donny Cates title told us. But all right, so that's Fantastic Four number 28. Let's see here. Next up is, I believe Roddy Cat also read Future State Dark Detective number 2.
I glanced at it, yeah.
It's written by Mariko Tamaki with art by Dan Mora and colors by Jordi Belair and letters by Aditya Bidikar. We get more information about how Bruce is driven underground by the magistrate. Meanwhile, we see the extent of the police state, the additional extent of, or maybe not the full extent, but we see the further extent of the police state established in Gotham.
Yeah, we also get to see how survived his death, or his death. There's that whole that part.
Right.
We still don't know, which also brings up a mystery of, which I guess a mystery already there under that mask.
Exactly. So. Last for me is The Other History of the DC Universe number 2, written by John Ridley, layouts by Giuseppe Camuncoli, and finishes by Andrea Cucci. Cucci. What was that the lady's name? Charo. That's what came to mind when I read this name the first time. Colors by Jose Villarrubia, and letters by Steve Wands. The story of Mal Duncan and Bumblebee, aka Karen Beecher Duncan. Mal Duncan had a lot of hero identities, so like Hornblower and the Second Guardian and whatnot. But they were both members of the Teen Titans, and this issue looks at their perspective with regards to the relaunch of the new Teen Titans, essentially without them. And what I was telling Roddy Cat prior to the show starting is that the reason why I read this one in depth is because this is very close to my heart, because the new Teen Titans was one of my favorite books as a kid growing up. It's one of those books that I filled in when I got older and had money and was able to locate back issues to really fill in my collection. But I look back on those issues fondly, and there was a time when New Teen Titans, or the New Teen Titans, was the biggest book that DC had, pre-crisis. This was on par with the X-Men over at Marvel. And having read the New Teen Titans, the Wolfman Perez, the original run pre-crisis, they bring up the fact that Mal and Karen are around, but they're out of the superhero game. That's sort of how they they're treated as part of this new relaunch, and that's essentially what happens to them. But it's interesting to see their perspective on this, their views on the story, as from their point of view, in as it's told here in the other history of the DC universe. So I read this and really enjoyed seeing it from their perspective, because they are not characters all that familiar to me, simply because of my age, simply because I came of age reading this as a young kid, reading the New Teen Titans as a young kid. These characters were introduced in the 70s, before my time as a New Teen Titans reader, or as a Teen Titans reader. So it's interesting to see from their point of view what that particular relaunch was like. And that's it for me.
Yeah, I'm as I told the agency for I did out. The first one was good, but it was about a different like I just hadn't gotten a. It's definitely been an interest. Um,
It's on DC's Black Label, so they do have a larger page count, so it does take a little bit longer to read,
right.
but it's still, I think, a pretty interesting read. And like I said, they definitely touch upon a lot of the New Teen Titans stuff that I remember fondly, and it's really interesting to see things from their point of view.
Cool. For me, I only have a couple of left. One being Savage Avengers number 13, written by Jerry Duggan, art by Kev Walker, colorist Java Taraglia. Sorry. Lettering by VC's Travis Lanham. Conan and Deadpool team up in this King of Black tie-in, which check mark your bingo cards on all of that. That somehow ties into what's going on in the book, and still don't know when this book is in or if it's actually in. Because we do know this book was around this time. I don't know if they or going into the going on in
Right.
this book. Oh, that stuff. But they kind of took a break from that to actually kind of amusing team up between Conan and apparently Conan wants to, let's say, emulate Wolverine at a certain point. I don't know if you plan on reading it.
I flipped through it. He wants the sneaky knives.
Right.
I saw. I was.
So I found that kind of funny. So, and I don't know if that's going to actually go anywhere, but also there was a Judge Dredd reference that almost happened, and we get introduced to a new character called the Night Fly. Kind of, I feel like this is some kind of slick talk, almost Lando esque, slick talker, but the wings he has kind of familiar, and I can't remember. I guess like the wings look like they're like old things or something. Falcons. So I'm probably gonna on. There's also a fridging comment, and because it's a black ish tie-in, Conan is being propositioned. And I believe my last is Batman White Knight presents Harley Quinn number 4. Rolls off the tongue. Story by Sean Murphy and Katana Collins. Script by Katana Collins. Art by Mateo Scalera. Colors by Dave Stewart. Letters by And World Designed. And that's that. My notes basically. Holy Batman 89, Harley. Because there is definitely some like this in this world, there was definitely some shades of Batman already. Go the same way, and I'm saying that because a version of the has showed up in one of the or Batman.
About to say. I was about to say Batman and Batman 89 and Batman Returns is the second one, right?
That is correct because
I
something
flipped
does show up.
past both. Yeah, I was about to say I flipped past both of them on Showtime the other day.
Which I guess there'll be some slight news on that, and but regardless, there is just, let's just say there is some Batman 89 influence, in particular to a flashback Harley and but Harley goes to talk to Bruce about Quimby's infatuation of her, because there's a character named Quimby who's not necessarily a profiler, but he works does have some Harley, not unlike her obsession was with basically with Point, and got recognized. But old enemies come, more old memories come up, and kind of going back to what I was mentioning prior to Quimby and Duke fall for the producer Chap, who that guy in this, and Harley is caught by Starlet, who works with, and unsurprisingly, this has something to do with Quimby. I have said before that I really like this Harley, um, and I've also loved the setup of the world in this Batman. It's still tied a little much Joker, but it's also kind of under. But at the same time, I will definitely say that yes, it's an Elseworld first, but I personally believe. And that being the case, we can go on to Clicks of the Week.
Clicks of the Week.
So we don't have any. We're back to our old.
Yeah.
But to be fair, in one case, we can't really fault them on that.
Definitely. Yeah, no fault of their own. So let's see. I definitely have some potentials this week. I can tell you that X-Men 17 was a potential. Strange Academy number 7 was a potential, as well as I had one more. See if I can narrow it down a little bit.
I think I had Fantastic Four on mine. I forgot to mention.
What's that?
I think I had Fantastic Four on mine as a potential.
Gotcha. No, I think those are my two top books this week. Strange Academy number 7 and X-Men number 17. I'm actually going to go with X-Men number 17 just because it felt like such a retro fun issue. Everything from the art to the kind of fast pace of the story, as well as the little bit of comedy involving Smasher and Cannonball and Sunspot over the phone, over the video phone. I thought that was pretty funny. So yeah, X-Men number 17 for me.
I would be shocked if at some point Hickman did not do a basically. I would be actually, because like I said, like we said earlier, threw him into the Avengers. Definitely kept some of that fun that started back then. Like obviously they were already best friends well before that, but still that a lot of that kind of came to the forefront during that and kind of plays out. Or maybe not. Actually, I don't think he's writing that many books. He's just writing X-Men. Regardless, you said you're going with X-Men
Yep.
I think
I really did like Strange Academy #7 though.
that's one of my potential, and I think I dare say, well, I said Fantasy Four was one of mine, and kind of Shang-Chi actually. I'm like, yeah, the part of the little like, yeah, okay, we saw that one case. That's actually pretty decent. So I think I'm actually going to go. Actually, I will go with Strange. I love that book. I really do.
Sounds good.
That being the case, we can push on to the news section. But first,
Our first ad of the night is for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Blue Apron, fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron, always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcasts free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today. Now we get into news.
and we start off with the cinematic news like we do every week about this time. I was just I did kind of mention Savage Adventure was kind of weirdly fun, and I'm not even. All right. Cinematic news, and I will dare say that this is a little WandaVision heavy top of this. So
Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
Starting off with WandaVision's dinner scene hints at Scarlet Witch's upcoming disaster.
Are you caught up, Buddy Cat?
Huh?
Are you caught up on WandaVision?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, just checking.
Oh yeah. There, yeah, definitely say like that. Because they're smaller bites of episodes, being 30 minutes or around 30 minutes, I guess. Because some of them, one of them a little bit longer than
Like
that.
a little more, a little less, right?
Yeah, they pretty much move, so not hard to kind of keep track of. But also, I will go so far as to say that there is a lot of speculation going along with WandaVision, and even before that, because obviously when we knew this was going to be things like, what are they going to do? Outside of a couple of the obvious things. But there is definitely a whole lot of theories such going on when there's only 3 episodes and another one set to drop within recording. Excuse me. Apparently, one we'll get into also. Speaking of, so in the first episode, there was a dinner party between Wanda. That 70 shows Deborah Rupp and her husband, Mr. and Mrs. Hart, go by in this show. And a thing happens, which I won't necessarily get to, just in case you're not caught up. But a thing happens, and some would say, trying to slightly dance around this. I don't know why I'm doing that. So basically, a dinner party happens. A thing happens that Wanda kind of calls Vision doing that seems kind of break, quote unquote, break character. But
Right.
it's also a really weird moment that probably would have been seen Vision's Tom King's uh although that I've seen allusions to what that miniseries has to do with WandaVision, but I can't, like, I get some of it, but some of it's kind of but because this is definitely taking some direct, some comic stuff, but kind of possibly my theory having to do with one has nothing to do with Scarlet Witch.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see how that plays out. Regardless, so apparently, according to this article, that dinner scene that happened, some break. Next up,
Speaking of some of the stuff that Roddy Cat was referring to, WandaVision actor Deborah Jo Rupp um, says the choking scene was the most fun that she had. That she had on the show. Maybe it took some time for her to nail it, but she loved performing it. She says, "quote Well, first of all, it was the most fun thing I've ever done, ever, quote unquote." Rupp said when asked about the scene in an interview with Collider. It was doing two things at once. It was very challenging, she says, which she loved. And the director was extremely patient because she kept going, "Wait, what? You want me to do what? No, I don't get it. Wait, what?" Gotta love it. Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
and as I said, one of those like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
which by the way, I will go so far as to say this because I don't have it in the news, and I forgot to put it in there. Rest in peace to Cloris Leachman, has recently passed. I know a lot of places are saying, or from a lot of milk. Cloris Leachman has been working. You always knew she was there when she was working with live action. A lot of her stuff wasn't. She's apparently I couldn't find out she played Queen Hippolyta in the pilot episode of the 1970s Wonder Woman show.
I saw that picture. That was pretty cool.
And I remember because I watched that episode relatively recently when that stuff got onto probably so yeah, amongst a lot of things. Apparently, come to find out there was a Gen 13 animated movie that never came out here that she was also a part of. But like I said, Cloris Leachman's been across. She took over Facts of Life on Love Boat. She working up until like last year. She was always working.
Mm-hmm.
But shout out to a legend. Rest in peace. Definitely. Her. Next up, WandaVision commercial invites you to find the goddess within. Now, so they've been putting out the commercials that are They've been putting out the commercials that happen within the show out on YouTube. So this is the latest one, probably up until the drops in later. And the in show commercial is basically been on Calgon, which probably a lot of people currently probably don't know too much about because Calgon was kind of an old 70s, early 80s thing. Basically, it was basically bubble bath. And the reason why I bring this up is because obviously with a lot of other things show that it's referencing something, and of course by the name of this thing is called Hydrocell. That's probably a. But also the tagline for the commercial is "Find the goddess within," which a lot of people are taking that this may have something to do with Wanda's how she her getting her powers in you, because as powers from Hydra and the Cosmic Cube. Well, was it the Cosmic Cube? Yeah, because it was the scepter. It was Loki's scepter. But also, they were saying her powers are pretty much mirroring a lot of the. That's
Oh no! Oh, whatchamacallit? It's not the Cosmic Cube. Her powers come from the Mind Gem that's in Vision. Yeah, because it was in the mind gem was the staff, was Loki's staff, and that's what they used to give Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver powers, or at least activate their powers.
Okay. Yeah. One of
You
those.
recall that because that's what Hydra has. That's what they're looking to. It's Loki's staff that they're looking to liberate
Right.
from Hydra's hand,
And I
and
couldn't
that's
remember
what they
which stone
have
it
to
was.
use to experiment.
Right. But also there's parallels to all the others
Mhm.
that seem to be coming out in Wanda's powers, or at least by theory, whatever. But regardless, so this commercial is pretty much
Right. I mean, what I was going to say, just in tangentially related to that, is look at what happened to Carol Danvers. You know, um, it's I forget which stone gives her her powers, but I don't think her powers are uh, completely related to the stone that grants her hers.
wait, Carol Danvers,
Mm-hmm.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
I don't because I figured that was still steeped in her origin. I thought that was still Cyclotron stuff.
The second magnetron, right? But if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken, it was based on the radiation from one of the the Infinity Stones. Now we're gonna look because it's been a while
Yeah,
since I watched the movie.
because I totally don't remember that one. But yeah, while he's doing that, but so to just finish up, so yeah, so the Hydra Soak is pretty much basically saying like, yeah, playing on pretty much how Wanda got her powers. Find the goddess in that is also that could be a nod to all of that. I'm also postulating, this is my only thing, and I'm probably wrong about this, that might possibly have something to do with someone that showed up in the Vision and Scarlet Witch 12 issue miniseries, that being the Enchantress.
Mm-hmm.
Because there has also been some allusions with Agatha Harkness's role, or the person that we know that's probably playing Agatha Harkness, and her role in this. And again, that's spitballing, and it's probably totally wrong. But kind of wondering if I kind of doubt it, but it would also make some sort of sense. Some kind of weird.
I mean, it's a weird place to introduce her, but you never know.
Right. I mean, yeah, but this is a weird show that's probably going to just introducing like a few different things. So that being
Right?
the case, next up.
Hold on. I'm just looking this up now. Well, it's the Tesseract that's in Captain Marvel.
So which is Cosmic Cube.
Right. So I'm trying to see because yeah, the Tesseract is the power source of the engine. So that's where she gets that's where she gets the power from. The engine that blows, the engine that explodes, and she basically um uh uh absorbs that.
Through her half Creed.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And some speculation as well. Actually, talk about that. Probably find out when it's next episode.
Mhm.
That shouldn't happen.
Well, I was about to say Captain Marvel is due for a rewatch for me, according to the binge mode rewatch.
Yeah.
Right now we're up to Ant-Man and the Wasp. We just wrapped Infinity War, so definitely up to that now. So like I said, I'm due for a rewatch to refresh my recollection.
Sounds like I could probably use it. We'll see. Anyway, next up.
We up to?
WandaVision.
Oh, okay. So you
Confirms.
did Goddess Within, right?
Yeah.
All right. WandaVision actor confirms shows placement in the Marvel Cinematic Universe timeline. We talked about this, I believe, last week, but just to reaffirm.
Well, we talked about it after the show.
Right. Actor Tiana Paris has answered a question that some people have had. She states that the Disney show WandaVision picks up pretty much right after Avengers Endgame.
Oh.
She told TV Line last week, confirming its position in the Marvel Cinematic Universe timeline.
Not a big surprise.
Nope.
But I guess, judging by what we know I guess based on what we kind of know, or what is being teased in some other articles that are probably coming up, like it may not have something to do with Doctor Strange selling, but of some of the placement. We'll see. Next up, though, speaking of Teyonah Parris studied Captain Marvel's young Monica Rambeau, actor, for her role in WandaVision. So, when Teyonah Parris was studying for the role, she said, when I started doing my character work, I definitely went to the comic books on my own, and I am still mining through was in the comics. Talking about, but I also looked to Akira Akbar's Captain Marvel, what she brought in there. Obviously, as a child, when you grow up, you change. You can be totally different than when you were a child, but I do think elements of who are young people that with us. Not only that, but the relationships we have those are in our lives. So the relationship I had with her mom, Monica Maria Rambeau, and or Carol Danvers, Carol Captain Marvel. How does those? So that is another thing, and that's another reason why I brought this in news story, because I believe I said last week, I can't remember not the fact that we knew Monica Rambeau was going to be in WandaVision. We know that hopefully this know that she's working with Sword. We know what Sword is in comics, and we also kind of know what Sword is in you, which would seem kind of weird that she's working with, but it could be what I just read that Teyonah Parris just mentioned. They had play in. Now, obviously, since the 4th episode of WandaVision is about to drop, so there's a good chance that we'll probably get about why there. So yeah, that's a cool thing. Next.
Right. Probably related to the same interview, Teyonah Parris also gave some insight into her role and spoke about the possibility of her character following the path taken in the source comics. Monica Rambeau, she says, has held many monikers over the decades, and she thinks that they've all been really special in a very particular way. She doesn't know how or who she will be in the MCU because when she tells you, she changes names and she kicks butt in all of them.
Or as Monica Rambeau that we love it. Yeah, we will definitely see it. And there's also the rumor that she's supposed to be getting on the version that, and some even are speculation that because of what happened. Kind of doubt.
Well, she might be one of the whatchamacallit, the powered operatives, but you would have thought that she might have used it to defend herself. So we'll see.
Right. Well, yeah, I don't. It is not known that she would have had her powers out of it at some point. But yeah, we wouldn't even know. Keeping it moving. WandaVision clip introduces more MCU stars to the show. This is an extended clip for the recording, so we won't really go too far into that. But it definitely says that the clip picks up directly after last WandaVision. And that's all I'll say about that. Next up.
Right. I was about to say, it's nice to see some returning actor.
Yes.
I
was going to say something else, but I probably would have been a little wrong for saying that. So yes, I'll leave it at that.
So, WandaVision again. Scarlet Witch's Lullaby receives an English translation in the subtitles to the episode, which I did not realize. So I'm going to go back and I did see this news article earlier, so I think maybe before I watch this week's episode, I'm going to pull up episode number 3 and watch the lullaby again because let's see here. What does it say? The lullaby remained a mystery until some viewers noticed that Disney translated the lullaby into Portuguese for the show's subtitles. Ah, okay. So she sings the lullaby in the made-up Sokovian language.
Mhm.
And according to the direct, the lullaby is short and sweet, with Wanda lovingly crooning to her newborn twins. Naturally, the lullaby contains an Easter egg or two that any dedicated fan will pick up on. Most notably, the lullaby hints at Monica Rambeau's eventual hero status. Really?
So I have a problem with that because I don't feel like
Have you?
that's the
I was
case.
going to say, have you seen the translation?
Yes. In fact,
Uh,
so I tend to watch shows with subtitles on anyway. So I was definitely watching this and I definitely saw that. And I get the Monica Rambeau
is it translated into English?
yes, I believe so, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Actually, you know what?
Because
Now
why
I
are
need
they
to go
talk?
back and
I
say
was about to
because
say, why are they talking about going into Portuguese? Because it looks like, at least according to, let me read this article in full, not just your
right.
little excerpt to see. I'm curious now.
Right. Well, let me rephrase that. So I remember, like I said, I watched shows and it was subtitles. Actually, I don't remember translated out the same. Now that I think about it,
Oh, I see it now. Okay, so it's in the article.
right? It's
All
an
right,
article.
so it's translated to "I waited for you, and this day has come. My heart became a home full of light, full of light." Okay.
Again, I kind of see it, but I don't see there. But this article is postulating that this has to do with Monica Rambeau, and part of that don't seem because as you know, the lullaby was for her twins. At last, spoiler alert, at last
Yeah, I was
episode,
about to say Wiccan and Hulkling. No,
basically.
no, Wiccan and
No,
what's his name?
it's Tommy and
Speed.
Speed, but yeah.
Tom. Yeah, exactly.
But yes, and of course it plays out just like it did in comic books. Or partially in part, very
Hmm.
differently. But the like I said, there this article is kind of tying it to Monica Rambeau, and I don't see how that is. Although sure, we know powers are
I was about to say I called him Speedy. That's wrong. It's actually Speed.
yeah. Yeah, Speed is that other the distinguished competition.
Right. He's the former drug addict. Now
Yes,
Arsenal.
indeed.
So,
So yeah, so that's that. And um that's where lullaby. Next up, Wonder Vision introduces one of the Eternals' most important powers. So again, I feel like this is kind of some articles part, but also why not? Transmutation, one of the Eternals' most important powers, has just been introduced early through WandaVision. This is one of the many abilities shared by the Eternals in Marvel's comics. One of the reasons why the Eternals are amongst the powerful. Again, this is an article writer. Um, but yeah, given that last episode of WandaVision had a lot of transmuting going on, this article's well taking it towards the Eternal for some strange reason. Um, sure, but yeah, that's that. Next up,
so Elizabeth Olsen has come out and said that WandaVision episode 4, which is coming out this week, will answer some of the Marvel show's mystery. Um, she says um, in the interview, I don't know where this was initially. This might have gone out to the press pool. I don't know where this was initially reported. Um, she says that she
I
thinks
think
the
the Disney
reason why they
spot.
showed the press the first episodes is because episode 4 is quite a shift. It's a really fun perspective swap, and she thinks a lot gets understood at that moment. Okay.
But and I think I put a note in the notes by saying that they don't really send a whole lot. They don't, as far as I know, they don't send whole seasons of to folks. As far as I know, and the couple of people that have gotten some for reasons or for reasons. They only send out at least two. So that's I feel like that's needed there because yeah, you like I'm surprised they gave folks three honestly because like I know I've seen or heard of people get like two first couple of shows. Their own however they fact that they got three off of this. But yeah, I guess we'll see if what she's saying about what episode 4 has brings to the table is true because it definitely does seem like it after change. Next up, though, WandaVision writer won't confirm or deny a season 2. So, WandaVision head writer Jack Schaefer is reluctant to confirm or deny the possibility of 2. WandaVision, well, we already know this. We're up. But also, that in 4, we kind of know that. But according to Hollywood Reporter, Jack Schaefer interested in confirming or rather she emphasizes the importance of focusing on what's happening right now in the MCU season. She explains that that's how things Marvel, one thing at a time. And actually, I'm not even sure. Now, granted, it's still kind of early to tell, like why those season WandaVision. Because I figure, like, if this goes route of doing whatever it's going to do, that next Doctor Strange, quite possibly. Anyway, that's that.
Next up, I would suggest going to our show notes and taking a look at this article that has a list of every Westview character who might have links to the comics. It's a little bit lengthy, but I would suggest taking a look at that and let that feed your speculation.
Agreed. Next up, MCU multiverse connections will appear before and after. Kind of loot. According to Kevin Feige.
All right, don't call him Marvel Studios president. Don't call him Marvels. Just call him Kevin Feige.
Some people might, so they got to do that. But anyway, connections to the multiverse will appear in MCU before and after Doctor. The title of the next Doctor Strange movie is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, so that is our biggest the multiverse and the madness therein very directly, like you said. Right. There are, as we always like to do, connections before and after that, which will remain to be seen and discovered. But it seems appropriate that it would be Doctor Strange. That's all. And of course, Feige being KG. Pretty much all we got. So WandaVision and that movie. Next.
All right, Star Wars The Last Jedi includes a hidden tribute to Han Solo. I want to say I spotted this when I watched this in the movie theater. A brilliant Han Solo Easter egg in Star Wars The Last Jedi has re-emerged thanks to a social media post and a reply by director Rian Johnson. The opening of the second movie in the Star Wars sequel trilogy sees the Resistance taking the fight to the First Order and its flagship Dreadnought. Among the attacks is a large-scale bombing run. On one of the bombs, an alien language is written. Its message, Han says hi. It's something that has sporadically been brought up in the past, but has found new prominence thanks to Rian Johnson tweeting something regarding this. I did see the lettering. I did not know it said Han says hi.
Right.
That's what I remember saying.
I think that I'm in the same boat too. Yeah, because that was kind of one of those things like, okay, that seemed like I should. There was obviously translation.
Alert!
But I never really got around to translate it. Think about a lot of things when you come out of them.
especially that one. Anyway,
Indeed. And so next up, though, Star Wars voices support for High Republic host Christina Ariel. We do not stand for bullying and racism. So, as Star Wars, as a subsection of Star Wars fans tend to do, change happens, and or when a gets something that stupid. Of course, you have that in fandom with those folks. But the official Star Wars Twitter account has issued us in support of host of the Star Wars The High Republic show, which just started. Now that I think within the last couple of after she was subjected to targeted harassment online. Fortunately, she like a woman. Our Star Wars community is one of hope and inclusivity. Not stand for bullying. We support Christine. And there's been a lot of other people of a certain profile that support of her. Some people even take hard. But it is good to also see a backing. Next up.
yes. Seriously, people are idiots.
Basically.
In in this case, you people is meant the right way. Pixar's new shorts are a quarantine experiment that redefined how the studio works. I don't know if you had a chance to watch these. I actually sat down and watched them. They were pretty funny. Pixar Popcorn, a new batch of 10 shorts premiering on Disney Plus. The premiered on Disney Plus brings back some favorite Pixar characters in bite-sized stories, like literally only like a minute or two long. From the cars of Radiator Springs, challenging each other to a parallel parking contest, to the superheroes of the Parr family zipping around the house doing chores. The shorts encompass a wide range of quirky slice of life vignettes set in the worlds of the Pixar films, including the new Pixar feature Soul. So it was fun.
I mean, Pixar's no stranger to doing short like this, but these came up as a project, and of course during. Actually, well, it doesn't make it that terrible hard for them, but also but still present a challenge in certain aspects stuff. So yeah, I've been meaning to watch these, but like I said, they're Pixar is no stranger or little shorts properties. But you should definitely check out the article or how the next up. Here we go. HBO Max launches a dedicated animation hub for curated content. So in the last few months, HBO Max has acquired plenty of animation content from Cartoon Network and Studio Ghibli. The streamer now has launched a dedicated animation for curated content. HBO Max announced the newly created animation hub on Twitter. The tweet there. And also says the animation hub see 5% lift. Getting eyeballs. So there's that. Next
up, I just took a look at the spillover news sheet. It doesn't look like we have anything in here about the actual trailer that was dropped. The Godzilla versus the Godzilla versus Kong trailer.
I thought it was in here.
In addition to this footage.
Oh, is this different from that trailer?
Right. This footage.
Okay.
Right. So I guess I'll cover the two of them together.
Yeah.
The footage that's revealed is that of King Kong and a girl reaching out to one another with the tips of their index fingers connecting before the film's title card appears. It should also be noted that during the scene, Kong is in chains and has a collar on his neck, indicating that he may end up being captured at some point in the film. So the trailer that dropped for this definitely portrays that part of um, the speculation, confirms that part of the speculation in that it appears that Kong at some point is uh, uh, whatchamacallit, he's captured and sedated so that they can transport him to combat Godzilla, who is allegedly on a rampage, and that gets things started. Um, there's lots of speculation as to why Godzilla would be doing such a thing after 2 movies. There's also speculation that it's not Godzilla. So we'll see. Obviously, they have to do everything they can to make it a fairer fight, so they give Kong a weapon. The weapon has certain properties to it, which I won't spoil. You have to watch the trailer. All I have to tell you about which team I'm on is
Um, I was kind of liking what you're alluding to, being somewhat like a underguard, but also because
oh yeah, there's a lot. I was about to say there's a lot of people that made that comparison
yeah,
to the end to that club to that big scene from Infinity War.
mm, but also some of that was sparked on by one of the protagonists. There you go. And yeah, I will probably put another actual. I thought that was yeah. So there you go. So Godzilla versus King Kong. That's the thing. Talk about. Next up, James Gunn says that you don't need to watch Suicide Squad to understand Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad. That's good to know. Next.
All right, new HBO Max trailer laid bare Warner Brothers a lineup of movies. They call it seriously impressive. I'm like, really? Coming to theaters and streaming in 2021. Among them, there's a new look at the Suicide Squad, and a first chance to see Mortal Kombat before it arrives later this year. Okay.
Yes. Um, I don't know. We've talked about that Mortal Kombat one and that. But speaking of HBO Max, hey, here's an article that has everything new that is coming to HBO Max in February. Now what does that have to do with this show? Well, let's say all of the Batman movies. Um, and also Batman the Brave and the Bold, but also, and this is more important to me personally, Justice League and Justice League Unlimited also coming to, which is pretty much rounding out the stuff they're scraping off from. Well, not rounding out, they could, but and I think Aquaman is also, and the Matrix movie. Oh yeah, the Matrix movies, Man of Steel, also aforementioned Justice League, and I think that but
I was about to say, I want to say the Matrix movies were on before. There was a weird time, there was a point where, uh, I guess because of contractual obligations, a lot of this content started on HBO Max, but then left and now has returned.
right.
So, as I alluded to earlier, Showtime, another network, has the Batman '89 and Batman Returns movies on their network right now. But
Mhm.
apparently, when the calendar turns into February, we're going to see a lot of those movies return to Warner Brothers Television.
Oh, I missed a couple. The Batman, not the movie, the Batman, but I'm going to assuming this is animated. I know some people like
Right, the Batman.
right,
Yep.
but I still need also the Static Shock series. 15th. That out you and also on the
Excellent.
so yeah, there we go, folks. Next
up, all right. So Black Lightning season premiere teased an interesting opportunity. It's titled "The Book of Reconstruction, Chapter 1." It hints at a lingering conflict weighing down on the Pierce family. It implies that a number of plot threads from season 3's finale will affect the Pierce family going forward, including the loss of Detective Henderson, who died during a fight against the Markovians, as well as strains in Jefferson and Lynn Pierce's marriage caused by her continued addiction to the drug Glimmer. It also hints at Peter Gamby receiving an interesting opportunity that could tie into his past as an ASA member. Okay.
So yeah, spoilers for Black Lightning. I feel like one part of that was because that show was actually not bad. Shout out to school. Next up, though, the trailer for the CW's Superman and Lois gives us our first look at the DC. And I will go ahead. But CW has released a new trailer for its upcoming Superman and Lois show, and it offers according to this article, it looks like it's going to be a story. We see Clark struck over floating on the estate hence some odd reason, which goes into yep. There is a trailer that I know has came out around the side of this, but we also kind of find out on this week that Man and Lois is going to get an extra long 90-minute preview episode, a premiere episode, not preview, preview, premiere episode. Going to premiere on February 23rd. So you can go and check that out when that comes up. It also says, let's see, it's going to be extended look at the family dynamic premiere, which W has recently announced will be special, like I said, and there will also be followed up with 30-minute behind the scenes called Superman and Lois Legacy of Hope, which will give a glimpse into the season to come and discuss the characters. Oh, also mentioned that the last season marches. Next.
All right, spoiler alert. Batwoman's Javisha Leslie reveals Ryan will struggle with the no killing code. Her Ryan Wilder character has officially joined the Bat team, but now she has a difficult journey ahead of her. In last Sunday's Batwoman episode titled Prior Criminal History, Ryan suited up in the Crimson Knights suit once again. And apparently at some point, they basically just comment that it's going to be very hard for she comments that it's going to be very hard for Ryan to stick to the no kill code that Luke and Mary put on her as Batwoman. That's it.
Full cast revealed for DC series DC and Man. With production well underway for the first season of the Sand, Netflix has finally revealed the main of the DC station. Tom Sturridge, Buzzsaw, stars in the series Dream, ruler of the ethereal realm known as the Dreaming. Cast also includes Game of Thrones veterans with Gwendolyn Christie playing Lucifer Morningstar, Charles Dance playing cultist Roderick Burgess. Narco star Boyd Holbrook will play the Corinthian, a rogue nightmare Morpheus. Don't much about the Sandman outside of Neil Gaiman wrote it, and a lot of people like it. Um, that okay. Next,
Thanks to the success of Netflix's The Witcher in 2019, there has been ongoing development of two spin-offs, one of which is The Witcher Blood Origin, set in the continent's distant past. Netflix has now announced, after 6 months of its reveal, that they have now announced the series' lead actor and model Jodie Turner-Smith has been cast as an elite warrior named, yeah, I'm not going to understand how to pronounce that one, Isle or Ale, Eile, who possesses the voice of a goddess. She left her clan and her place as Queen's Guardian to pursue her true passion and become a nomadic musician. However, events transpire on the continent that force her to take up her blade once again in what has been described as a quest for vengeance and redemption. Okay.
yeah, this is. Yeah, I'm not sure. There you go. Cool. Um, Next up, um, Tomb Raider and Kong Skull Island anime series lands at Netflix. So yes, we're going to get anime adaptations of Tomb Raider and King Kong. Descriptions for Skull Island read: a shipwrecked crew, island of monsters, one king to rule them all. Skull Island is a new anime series set in at Legendary's MonsterVerse from Powerhouse Animation. Um, Anyway, also the Tomb Raider anime description reads: the most iconic heroine in video games is jumping to animation. Tomb Raider is a new anime series from Legendary following Lara Croft after the events of the video game reboot. Cool, everything's been turned into anime now. We might be turning it. Stay tuned for that. Haha. um. Next up,
The Tomb Raider movie sequel starring Alicia Vikander has got a new director at its helm. Lovecraft Country creator Misha Green will be making her feature film debut as a director and writer. Green replaces Ben Wheatley, who was on board to direct the movie when it was announced back in 2019. It was originally slated for a March 2021 release, but was delayed indefinitely at the end of last year, which, let's be honest, is not very surprising given the current state of the pandemic.
yep, we're still in a panorama, folks. You watched the first Tomb Raider movie, or any interest in it? I guess.
You mean with Vikander as
Right.
the lead? No.
Right. Yes, those of us of a certain
Say,
vintage.
yeah, exactly. Those of us of a certain vintage remember Lara Croft being played by one Angelina Jolie, and it was a pretty striking resemblance.
In more ways than one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And yeah, they weren't great movies, but they were actually. I haven't watched this one. This is coming to HBO. I think it was in. Regardless, I don't know. Check it out at some point. I'm curious. Next up, why did I have to get this one? WWE will move into streaming service. Move its streaming service to Peacock in the U.S. So I passed this along to a couple of our wrestling focused folks in the back channel. But apparently, the WWE Network, which is of course the streaming service for wrestling, I don't know. They're moving to Peacock in March with NBC Universal's streaming. Go figure. This version of the WWE Network app will be shut down as a part of the deal, which the Wall Street Journal is $1 billion. The new tag team results in positives on both sides. But hey, wrestling folks, that you have a reason to sign up for Peacock, I guess.
Right.
Next up,
Right. I mean, listen, that's a big get for them, I think.
or
That's a way for them to consolidate, that all that content. I was just looking at the notes that you put into the sheet about all that content they're going to migrate over
right.
to Peacock. Let's be real. Neither of us, I don't think, subscribe to Peacock at the
Nope.
moment. I don't think either of us are that intent on rewatching The Office enough to subscribe to yet another streaming service. But now,
Hell, watch the
um,
Office at that. But anyway,
what was that?
I said hell, even watch the Office. I've never actually sat and watched a full
Well, the reason
season
why I
episode.
bring that the reason why I bring that up is that my understanding was that Peacock had actually put aside or set up a separate subscription level just for people that want to binge watch The Office over and over again. That was my understanding. So with this particular addition to the streaming service, this definitely gives people a strong impetus to subscribe to Peacock and add it as a streaming service that they may rely on
Right.
moving forward, because we know what the standards are, and we know what the standard. Let's be real. As a quick aside, let's be real. What the standard streaming service most generally held by the subscription most generally held by the um by most people is Netflix, and that's borne out by their subscription numbers,
Mm.
right? After that, we're talking about the secondary stuff and some of the stuff that people jokingly talk about dropping after the Mandalorian ends, like Disney Plus
Yeah.
or HBO Max, which was rolled out so awkwardly that it just became kind of a punching bag for a lot of the other streaming services.
True. But
So,
but
and
but yet
Hulu is
people are
always.
still flocking to it in droves from what I saw from numbers because they have well made their numbers up.
Say again?
I said HBO from what on an article that I saw, which I may or may not have it. HBO Max has up their numbers well in advance of what they were projected to. Yeah, regardless of how it started out, they've definitely netted positive growth.
Well, I was about to say, I'm sure the launch of the Wonder Woman movie helped them, as
Mm-hmm.
well as getting more streaming services, more streaming equipment to carry them, like the Fire Stick. That was I think one of the biggest pitfalls that they ran into.
Oh, for sure.
So, but in any event, our last story in cinematic news is Apple TV Plus has dropped the first Snoopy show trailer. Snoopy, Woodstock, Charlie Brown, and the rest of Charles M. Schultz's Peanut Gang are back in Apple TV Plus's official trailer for the Snoopy Show. Each episode of the show will consist of 3 7-minute cartoons based on the iconic comic series and be aimed at both parents and children aged 4 to 11 years old. Snoopy Show will air on Apple's streaming service alongside previous original Peanuts / Wild Brain exclusive programs like the Daytime Emmy Award winner Peanuts in Space, Secrets of Apollo 10, and Daytime Emmy Award nominated Snoopy in Space, which are both now streaming globally on Apple TV Plus. The series premieres February 5th on Apple TV Plus.
Well, one, I watched the trailer for the Snoopy, and it looks cute. It's typical Peanuts fare, but focusing. It's I never watched it because I don't have Apple. Which we've talked about it in passing, or at least in the past
I was
year.
about to say that's one of the secondary streaming services I was just referring to.
There's that also, but also the fact that Apple has the exclusive rights to the much loved holiday specials therein that are now behind the
Right.
still
Exactly.
a bother.
I mean, if you think about it, without just anecdotally, Apple TV Plus and Peacock, obviously based on the requirements, based on some of based on the cost and when they were released, they're kind of lagging behind, obviously Netflix, Next up would be Hulu, and then after that come the really secondary and tertiary streaming services that are trying to battle up the number of subscribers mountain.
And I'm glad you brought up Hulu because I was going to ask about that because one, NBC has some stake, or as far as I know, still. I don't know if they still do, or if they. I know they did. I don't know if they still had a stake Hulu, and I don't know if they still do. And I was going to ask if Office was in there or whether they want to do that. I guess
I was about to say The Office is now exclusive to Peacock. The whatchamacallit, Hulu, I believe, is majority owned by Disney now, but a lot of the other networks still have stakes in it.
Right. Yeah. So it was like a joint thing between Fox and
Right.
ABC.
Right after the purchase of Fox.
Right. So, and actually going back to the WWE thing, like being flippant about it, and they're, as far as I know, are the target audience kind of
oh yeah,
for all that content, that the fan base.
Absolutely. That's a big deal. If it's tough to see how the WWE app was able to stay. I guess it was inevitable. Given the landscape of the streaming services nowadays. Now that everyone's trying to put it out, that eventually you would see some consolidation of one of the alleged bigger ones. Even though Peacock to me is still not a big one, but it's powered by a big one. Right. It's powered by a big multinational that would be able to afford absorbing it. That particular streaming service. It's not a surprise that this would happen eventually. Right. That this might still happen over time.
Right, and we also see another like CBS, Viacom has definitely done a similar all access.
Oh, there's another streaming service.
Right.
Do you subscribe to that still?
Yeah, actually, I still do.
That I don't. Never have.
Yeah, because I wanted to catch up on Discovery and a couple other things. The offerings in there are what they are, because there's actually been some gems in there that were one of my main thing for Discovery and Picard when that came out.
Exactly. So yeah. There is definitely a hierarchy in the streaming service world, and we'll see how the WWE going to Peacock kind of shakes that up a little.
Yep, indeed. All right, so now let's move on to the comic book news.
Meanwhile, the Hall of Justice.
Aftershock announces Girls of Dimension 13 from Graham Nolan and Brett Blevins. Aftershock Comics has announced the aforementioned Girls of Dimension 13, an all-new series written by colored by Greg Wright and lettered by Carlos M. Magnuel. My apologies if I butchered your name. The thing is, 4 young women are brought by this invitation, room together in a strange building. The building is a nexus point, a portal to 13 other dimensions. A malevolent force known as Abraxas binds the. Anyway, for centuries, the portal has been guarded by a gate on the other side from gaining access to Howard. Now the gatekeeper and Nightlinger is missing, and the only thing standing in Abraxas' way are 4 young women with powers and abilities beyond the kin of mortal man, but they don't even know. So yeah, if that is something of interest to you, when April 21st of this. Next up.
Next up, a new Magic the Gathering comics are coming in April. Back in 1993, Magic the Gathering was at first introduced. The card collecting game has branched out in many forms and is still going strong nearly 3 decades later. Shout out to @MattWang97. The
Shout out
newest
BDM.
incarnation of Magic the Gathering appears to be arriving in the form of a comic book series. Um, Publisher Boom Studios is set to start a new series in April of 2021. They'll be working on that ongoing monthly comic series simply titled Magic. The team behind Magic will include writer Jed McKay, who we know has worked on Black Cat, artist IG Guara, known for or Guerra actually maybe, known for Ghost Spider, and letterer Ed Dukeshire, Harvey nominated and known for Ghostbusters. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, as this article says, there's been a bunch of fairly recent licensed movies. Yes. But also I will take this point to say real quick, if you are a fan of Magic the Gathering, like my I mentioned 7, uh, Android. Well, you can get the beta for the Magic the Gathering Arena uh, digital game starting right now on Android. I don't know if there's any words going if it's going to go if and or when it's going to go to iOS, but kind of sort of. You can go check that out. It's basically Magic the Gathering Arena, which is the same form that's on now. Just like I guess weirdly enough the PC app, I think so. I'm not sure if they ever took it out of the game. And there's a new expansion that just dropped today alongside. So again, if you're interested in all that, it's out. Go check it out. Next up, though, 1.5 million copies of Dogman: Grime and Punishment sold in 4 months. And this is the Dogman: Grime and Punishment has sold 1.5 copies according to And while most comic sales figures and sellout notices are for sales to retailers and not to readers themselves, these are sell-through numbers. Data provided by those stores book scan. For longtime readers of the Captain Underpants, Dogman, Dogman, Grime and Punishment will be familiar and a delightful long-running universe. And if you're new though, and you're looking for a light and breezy, or trying to find something for younger readers in your life, Dogman, Grime and Punishment will offer as enthusiastic welcome to Bro does all he meets. If you don't know Dogman, I actually don't know if it's set. Next up,
Next up, spoiler alert, Wonder Woman, how Future State mashes up two DC mythologies. In Future State Wonder Woman, Yara Flora incorporates elements from two different mythologies to form her version of Wonder Woman lore. As I said, this is spoilers for Future State Wonder Woman #1. I'm looking to see if there's a way to summarize this. So Yara is different from Diana, not just in regards to their personalities, but also the mythologies that make up their origin stories. Based on what has been revealed so far, Yara is half Amazon, her mother coming from Themyscira. Much like Diana, though, Yara's father is a deity, but not one from the Greek pantheon. Instead, her father hails from South American mythology, specifically Tupi Guarani mythology. Okay.
I actually poured through this book. I enjoyed it actually. Not taking, I guess, just like the other Wonder Woman books. Not really. Well, line up. They're not really taking place in. They are taking place in the world at large, but they're kind of separated. Like it's not definitely has nothing to do with what's going on with the Marvelous. But yeah, I figured I was gonna like this character, and I do. On side note, I can't wait to see it. But that's neither here nor there. You should definitely check this out. Next up, though, She-Hulk, Myro, lead new women of Marvel anthology. So the Women of Marvel branding returns to Marvel Comics in the month of April with a new 56-page anthology, announced as a part of the just released Marvel Comics. One solicits. Women of Marvel #1 unites characters for a. The announced stories are a She-Hulk story written by Nadia Shamas and an artist announced. Morrow story by longtime Marrow fan, writer, artist Campbell. Peggy Carter story wrote by Elsa Johnson, artist. Additional creators announced are writers Anne Poole and Natasha Alterici, along with artists Eleanor Depp, Skylar Partridge. Oh, it is capped off by a must-read section by legendary editor-writer Lou. Don't forget to check that out in April. What?
I said Wheezy.
Next up,
Wheezy's awesome. All right, next up, Donny Cates debunks your Sentry theories. The King in Black writer clarified that the mysterious entity being teased in the Marvel Comics event series is not the Sentry. Cates says that the mysterious god of light that serves as a foil to Null, the god of symbiotes, is not actually Bob Reynolds, aka the Sentry, who met his demise at the hands of Null in King in Black #1. Spoiler alert.
Actually,
what's that?
I said I remember watching the video that I was telling you about that. I'm like, oh snap.
Right. Exactly. So he says that it's someone or something else entirely. Kate said he should clarify that this entity, this thing that we keep on teasing, that there is a god of light in the way that Null is the god of darkness. That's not the Sentry. He says he can confirm that. Kate said in an interview with IGN shortly before the release of King in Black #3. He says it'll be a big surprise for people reading, and he can't wait for you to see it because that's also been something that they've been planning on since day one. While the deity King in Black is not the Sentry, Cates did tease that readers may not have seen the last of the Sentry yet, noting that in the Marvel Universe, quote, nothing is ever done, quote unquote. And that certainly you're seeing that in the Valkyrie series, that the Sentry's on a journey with Jane, and that that you're also talking to the writer of Thor who has keys to Valhalla. So he's going to stop talking there. That's a nice little ending to that that little statement there.
So we haven't seen the Valkyrie series in a minute. So
it's the Rise of the Valkyries. It's the King in Black tie-in series
right.
he's referring.
But I'm just saying, but we still haven't seen that yet.
No, we have.
Did that come out?
Yep.
When did that come out?
We've already gotten, I want to say, one issue. I think the second issue may have come out already too, but we definitely have gotten one issue.
Okay. Liked it.
I read it. I was about to say, I think I told you to take a look at it, but just because, even with trying to stay away from most of the King in Black stuff, it's interesting to see that the Valkyrie series was written by, I believe, Torun, the lady, and
right, Torun Grumback.
Yeah, Torun Grumback, and I don't know if it was Jason Aaron co-writing this also, but I have a feeling it was. But she was definitely involved, so that was one reason why I gave it a shot to take a look at it. I gave it a shot because it was the creative team behind the regular Valkyrie series.
Yeah, because now that you say that, I do remember there was that other thing about Aaron and Kate's along with that. I don't know if that awkward thing. Regardless, yeah. Okay. I'll probably have to go back. Next up though, and that probably got a light is probably Thor. But so Heroes Reborn teases teases merge Marvel's heroes and villains together. So folks, I'm just before I go into this article, if you haven't realized by now, Marvel's been, let's say, spreading seems like a harsh word, but we're going to use that one anyway.
Celebrating is their word.
Sure. Past Marvel events and Heroes Reborn is in some people's minds, like mine, not great.
Right.
So them revisiting it for any time doesn't necessarily leave a good taste in anyone's mouth, or at least not in my mouth. I'll put it that way. But we'll see how this goes because a set of teasers for Marvel Comics' Reborn event has been released. Remember when they said no? I know this has. Remember when they said no events for months? A series of little events. But anyway, which merges various heroes and villains together from across the Marvel universe. Both Heroes Reborn teasers were revealed on Twitter by the official Marvel account and by Marvel editor Volsky. Each tweet was accompanied by the hashtag Marvel Heroes Reborn 2021, which makes that was the being reborn. That was called Marvel Heroes, but probably never gonna happen. Anyway, first shows a mashup of Doctor Doom and Juggernaut sitting on throne, and if you're watching the video there, but there's also various other article. Let's see, the characters Knuckles have the name Doom stamped on them, like they're MF Doom. The next mashup appears, which appears to be Scarlet Witch and Trenchers. While the green costume is reminiscent that worn by the Enchantress, the red hair and the red hair dress vibes. But we'll just go ahead and say that, yeah. Or if you watch the video,
Sorry.
hey, there's Peter Parker.
I clicked an ad.
Yeah, that happened. Peter Parker shown standing on the Daily Bugle sign, then leaves off into one part of costume visible, being his pants. The colors give away that whatever character Peter Parker is, it won't be Spider-Man. Then there's another one with Reed and Ben from the Fantastic Four as being a part of S.H.I.E.L.D. here. And last, or not last, but also one of Phil Coulson. Looks like he's running for president, not unlike Loki did not too long ago. There's Hulk punching out aliens in space. And there's Wolverine leading a slightly different of Alpha Flight.
Right. Which is our next story.
Which is our next story, which yeah, we're gonna touch on. And last but not least, Thanos with I just feel like he just got Infinity Rings now.
Right. It's teased that they might be the Mandarin's rings. So, going into our next story, Marvel released that teaser for the 2021 Heroes Reborn initiative, featuring Wolverine alongside a very different version of Alpha Flight, including a version of Sasquatch with demonic horns and a version of Aurora with a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire. Rounding out the cast is Shaman, who wears a cloak similar to Doctor Strange's, and a heavily armored version of the Guardian. Wolverine himself has metallic adornments on his arms, as well as a tank top that has the same design as his classic yellow and blue costume. Okay.
going to be like, not even supposed. You know what? It doesn't matter about this.
Right. I was about to say this. I was about to say your story, your next story, I think establishes the basis for this whole event, and it'll give us some more clarity as to what they're going for.
Indeed, and that is Blade is at the center of Marvel's new Heroes Reborn event. The Daywalker Blade will be at the center of Marvel's Reborn by Jason Aaron and Kenneth, which what's going on in Avengers right now. According to the synopsis for the event, following the merger and rewriting of much of the Marvel Universe, Blade is the one man alive who seems to remember that the entire world has somehow been, and so begins his search for the cause behind this reality. Also gives shades of House of M. Not the first time that Marvel has done such a thing. I can't remember which came first. Was it Heroes Reborn came before House of M?
Hell yeah! Heroes Reborn was like in the early mid '90s.
Right. So at least
House of M didn't come until the 2000s, until Bendis.
Right. Anyway, yeah, there's that. So, so I'll bring that up just for a little context. Maybe the wildest story I ever put on paper. Aaron said, I got to cut loose on this and release my inner comic reared child in a really profound way. And together with a cadre of immensely imaginative artists, we built a world that I'm pretty confident in, quite unlike any version of the Marvel Universe. It grew out of the pages of my Avengers run, but kept getting bigger and bigger as it went. More pieces are put into place for this reborn world, more gleeful and excited I became. This project really stoked the fires of my love for comics in all the right ways. Now, we'll take this point is to say, on a positive note, that nope. Something that's totally shoot.
Roddy Cat was like, "Yo,
no," because I was so we have. Well, we also have seen this. So we also have seen this in the likes of the last Secret Wars event, but that was more of it wasn't more of heroes getting mashed up. This world where alternate around, including Thor's, as famously by the folks here, Chronicles. Probably will have nothing to do. Which I think, wait, wasn't that Jason Aaron who did Thor's?
I'm not sure. Possibly, because I'm pretty sure that Aaron's Thor run was going on at that time.
Yep, Jason Aaron. That was him. And we love that one. So we can give some positive notes to that part, but Heroes Reborn still. And this article goes on to talk about the original Born crossover.
Right.
There you go, folks. Which, if we were still doing the evergreen stuff that we were doing at the beginning of COVID last year may not have gotten around to Heroes Reborn.
Oh Lord!
Yeah,
is that stuff actually on Marvel Unlimited? It has to be.
Probably, it would have to be. Now it will be soon.
I barely touched that stuff when it was coming out in real time.
Same.
Barely touched it. I looked at the FF stuff because Jim Lee was supposed to draw it, and then he dropped out because he wasn't churning out stuff the way he used to. Whatchamacallit? Now I'm gonna look for it because I'm a glutton for punishment.
Didn't it kind of start there, or start and or end there? Because that whole thing was based around Franklin.
Oh yeah, it's there.
Because the whole thing was pretty much based around Franklin, something to do with powers and shunting folks into alternate reality.
Yeah, that was Onslaught.
Yes.
Yep. I remember that. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we try to forget that all.
Oh yeah. Goodness gracious. All right, next up. all eight Marvel Black History Month 2021 covers have been revealed. Marvel Comics is going to be celebrating Black History Month in February 2021, along with the rest of us, with a series of variant covers across the comic book line. They are by Brazilian artist Hernanda Souza. This was revealed as part of Marvel's February 2021 solicitations, with the complete set of covers now released. Hernanda Souza is a popular artist in the gaming industry, having illustrated for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, Magic the Gathering, the trading card game, and Pathfinder. The total of 8 covers are planned and will be coming out as follows. There's a King in Black Captain America, #1, February 3rd. King in Black Return of the Valkyries, #3 already. See, February 17th. Miles Morales, Spider-Man #23, February 17th. X-Men 18, February 24th. Iron Man #6, February 17th. Avengers 42, February 3rd. Black Panther 23, February 3rd. And Champions #4, February 3rd.
Check those out. Actually, yes, here we go. See the Black Panther. Wow. Has that not finished? I just realized that. I don't think we've seen Black Panther in a minute.
No, it's been on hiatus.
Yeah.
They haven't really said why. I don't know if it's an art delay or if it's a writing delay for Coates, because he has been promoting other work in the meantime during the pandemic.
And we know he's leaving.
Sure.
He's ending the book.
Right. But he's still on cap. So it's kind of weird to see, it's kind of weird to see him continue to churn out cap.
Right.
While Black Panther is on this hiatus. So I suspect it's art related, but we don't know.
Move right along though. So you can see there's a in the article in the notes you can a slide of covers. Watch the video you just saw me go through all of it. Next up though, Marvel shakes up Guardians of the Galaxy lineup, mission, and creative team. And this is also from the solicits. New Age of Space starts here. They were soldiers, misfits, mercenaries, thieves, and a family. They were heroes. But the times have changed. The galaxy no longer needs heroes. It needs superheroes. Or Guardians now when the call goes forth, whether it's from a stranded team of planetary explorers or Emperor Hulkling and his Royal Alliance, Guardians of the Galaxy answer. The New Age of Space brings a new artist, new headquarters, new costumes, new teammates, and an all-new enemy you'll have to see. Get on board, true believer. It's going to be a ride wide. I'm good. Why does this feel like this is harkening back to After Annihilation? I feel like they did something similar back then. But regardless, the main takeaway from this is to know that while the artists change, Al Ewing is still going to be on this book all run. That's personally. Next up,
Spider-Ham. I had to stress that part. Spider-Ham has great power and no responsibility in a new graphic novel. So thanks to his exposure in the Spider-Verse movie, Spider-Ham is getting some more shine. Great power. Marvel and Scholastic, that is, have announced Spider-Ham, Great Power, No Responsibility, an original graphic novel by Steve Fox and Shadia Amin. Man, what a life. CBR exclusively revealed this original graphic novel is going to debut in October. Cool.
Okay.
Hey, great power and no responsibility.
Oh, yeah. You're right. You're right. Absolutely. That's cool though. We have some Spider-Ham fans. Marvel announces X-Men fan vote. So we talked about this earlier to select final member of the team. So yeah, pretty much gave you the particular earlier, but the vote is ongoing as of this recording because it just started before. Yeah, go put your vote in. So the nominees on the ballot are Banshee, Polaris, because I don't think we did part earlier.
Nope.
Forge, Boom Boom, Tempo, Cannonball, Sunspot, Strong Guy, Marrow, and Armor. Those are your choices, folks. There can be only one. I saw someone, a carbon creator, I can't remember who it was, talking about they voted for Cannonball just to fight Sunspot's ego. And I thought that was pretty cute. I can't remember who that was though. I was like, all right, no. I don't know who I would vote for. I have a couple of ideas but most of the people have been in a team, or I guess specifically an X-Men team. Actually, well, half of these probably have been on X-Men team.
Right. What I was gonna say is at least in terms of getting like main roster attention.
Right.
I think I at least amongst the hero side, Tempo, I believe, was a bad guy for a while at the beginning, I believe.
Was or because I was just reading about her.
Yeah, because she was just reintroduced.
Right.
So,
well, no, I mean like her backstory.
Right. No, but she was also just reintroduced.
Right.
In the pages of the X books. I can't remember where, but
right.
I think it might have been due to was it in Sword? I think it was in Sword.
That sounds right.
Yep. It was in Sword.
Or actually, no. The first time I remember, she was and I partially due to my reading, but he had aged up about a barrel of whiskey or wine for her and Forge.
Oh, in Marauders. Okay.
Yeah, I believe so.
Gotcha. Yeah, but we most recently saw her in Sword.
Correct.
I think she was named as like one of the backups or something. Oh no, was she a member of the Sword team? Or
she might have been a member of the Sword team. I don't even remember.
Or she was listed as a backup. One of the backup to the members. I remember something about that.
Right.
But in any event, she seems like a prime member. Maybe not to win the fan vote, but to definitely be a candidate for inclusion, just because it's kind of like an offbeat edition.
I've seen someone actually do that, and I think it was a comic creator who.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, the soft, I have a soft spot for Banshee, especially now that he's been reborn on Krakoa.
Yeah, and they'll just kill. See, that was part of it. It's like, yeah, but they just do it and then they end up killing. But they're already doing that with his sister in X Factor, so
right?
Personally,
oh, you mean his daughter?
His daughter, excuse me. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was confused. I've always thought that was his. Either Boom Boom or Armor. Obviously, Boom Boom's been on X Force, so.
Yeah, I was about to say, and Armor has been on the Astonishing X-Men team.
Right. But those who would either that or Tempo, or those two or Tempo probably would. Polaris has also been on the mainline X-Men.
Well, X Factor.
Well, yeah, that too. But I'm saying I feel like she's been on.
Well, when she was appearing in the main X-Men book, obviously in the early days, she I don't think was ever really given X-Men member status. I don't believe.
To the Googles.
That was always my understanding, is that she was just like a tangential member, and then she finally became an official X person when she was put on the X Factor team. Right, I was about to say, if there's a notation that says when they join the team, that would be helpful. What issue,
Yeah, and
right. I was about to say, in the meantime, I can move on to the next story while you're looking. Um, a major part of Way of X, the upcoming book, is about Nightcrawler creating a new mutant religion, which was something that was teased in the pages of X-Men. Um, Way of X writer Simon Spurrier explains how the new status quo of Krakoa will see Nightcrawler start a mutant religion. Um, in an interview with CPR, Spurrier said that it's no surprise that Kurt is troubled by the fact that any mutant can be brought back to life on Krakoa. He says that Nightcrawler has lots of questions about how this whole thing is supposed to work, how he's this poor fool who desperately wants to fit in and enjoy himself, but he's wondering about saying that's wrong, except when someone asks why it's wrong, he really has no answer. Spurrier continues that since nothing's quite the same as it was in the Homo sapiens world, the old codes and morals don't apply in quite the same way. Kurt takes let's see. I'm just looking to skip forward just to see. He says that it's a bit too simple to say that that's all that Way of X is about, but that's what it's about. That's its cue anyway. It's a springboard into other stories. Although Nightcrawler will be exploring spirituality and religion as it applies to a new mutant world, he won't be crafting a pantheon and mythology from whole cloth. Okay. Way of X, #1, written by Simon Spurrier and illustrated by Bob Quinn, arrives in April from Marvel Comics.
So, just by reading here, she was a part of the team Giant Size X.
Oh, she gets captured by Krakoa.
Eve's the all new.
Right, so she's only on for like the briefest time then, like
yeah,
officially.
but she might have come back. I don't know. Might have actually. That's pretty much. Okay. Anyway, next up though, Cyclops leaps into action in a new statue by Kotobukiya. Kotobukiya has revealed its latest fine art set, which features the X-Men leader Cyclops. Cyclops is shown leaping into action from a base comprised of rubble while wearing his uniform from the X-Men.
Oh, okay. Wait, hold on. I looked at the wiki. It says that Polaris first appears in X-Men number 49 and first appeared as a member of the X-Men in X-Men number 60 and remained a member of the team until just after the debut of the new team of X-Men in Giant Size X-Men. Okay. Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because
I mean, I'd have to take a look at the note because that's wiki as opposed to the fandom page. I guess you were looking at.
Well, it's probably the same one. But anyway, so the statue of Cyclops that we're talking about is digitally sculptured and formed from high quality cold cast resin. But that is $329. But watching the video, you can check that out here. Hands of Cyclops. Out of the classic material. Kotobukiya do some stuff, some great stuff. They're pricey.
It depends. I was going to say I have a Kotobukiya Captain America that was not that expensive.
Well, let me rephrase that. The fine art ones are definitely. I have
right.
a Kotobukiya
Exactly.
Miss Marvel. That was like $50, I believe. But those are also smaller and smaller in form and fine art.
Right. These are on that other level of price point.
There you go. Next up.
All right. New and old Marvel merch comes to Toynk or Toynk. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Marvel fans can now grab some new and some older officially licensed merchandise from Toy and K. Starting off, they have a 1-to-1 scale prop replica of the Eye of Agamotto from Doctor Strange. It even lights up. I have seen this in real life. It is pretty cool. Um, I've seen cosplayers. I have a buddy who cosplays as Dr. Martin Luther Strange, and
right, you told me about that.
he has this replica, which is pretty cool. You can also get premier pins of WandaVision that have I guess incarnations of Wanda and the Vision from an upcoming episode. You can get the Thor toolbox hammer, which I really don't want to buy.
Well, so this is old. So yeah, this is now it's getting to the old stuff. So those first two
Mm,
are the new things, and this
right,
we've talked about this Force Hammer a while ago.
right. But it's still available.
Which is basically a toolkit and also this Iron Man screwdriver kit.
Right, it's like a computer screwdriver kit, no? Or is it regular screwdrivers?
No, I think it's just like this like a regular screwdriver. Like it's more for like I assume. But this is a bit
Got it.
with got the little.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that stuff is still out there. Cool. Next up, Star Wars Princess Leia gets a New Hope Gentle Giant statue. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the next one.
Good.
Because there's also Gentle Giant, Clone Wars and Rebel statue, and also there's Princess Leia one that's from A New Hope with her in a cell. Captain Rex from Clone Wars. Thrawn also Thrawn, but also Captain Rex is $120. Thrawn is $60, and the Leia is $100. Like out June 1. Actually, all of these looks like coming out in June. Next up,
All right, next up, Anthony Mackie shows off a couple of Boba Fett motorcycle helmets that he owns, or helmets that is.
but actually, one is a helmet, one is a motor, the other one's an actual boat.
Okay, yeah, I saw a picture of the motorcycle helmet one, I think. So he's a big fan of Boba Fett, and during a recent appearance on the Late Late Show with James Corden, Mackie showed off a couple of Boba Fett bounty hunter helmets that he owns. One is a replica helmet signed by the original actor Jeremy Bulloch, and the other a motorcycle helmet that was custom made to look like Fett's helmet. The actor said, "We pulled it off the shelf, man. My friends who've been over have seen this, but no one has ever seen this. It's never been out of the case." That's okay. That's cool. So he met Jeremy Bulloch, the original Boba Fett, and got his replica helmet signed. That's cool.
Fast.
Yep.
I would imagine that's probably a conversation. So yeah, next up, the 10 new Star Wars stamps featuring droids from all over the galaxy will be U.S. sometime this. The United States Postal Service. These stamps were IG-11, R2D2, K2SO, EO, 70s favorite. L337, BB8, C3PO, and a GNK Gonk power droid. A 1B surgical droid, C110P, also known as Chopper. Also, each with their own unique backdrop based on some of the more memorable of the Star Wars saga. For example, you can see in below Dio's
Go away, Dio.
backdrop is that of the hallway. There you go. Cool stuff. And there are Ferrero stamps. Properly lose them. Next up, though.
I was about to say, it's something that sometimes gets used by accident.
Yeah.
Like someone in the home sees stamps that and they need one.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know, like, wait, what happened to this set?
Yeah, no, I end up fighting my wife. Like, why'd you do this? But no, I would try to, I would hide.
Right.
Well, before that happened.
Right. Next up, to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Studio Ghibli's 2001 film Spirited Away, a new baseball jacket has been released featuring No Face. Oh, it's blank.
Oh yeah, because don't worry about the blanks. That was where I took some.
Yeah, so I didn't skip anything.
No. I thought
because you did Star Wars Droid theme stamps, and the next thing is Spirited Away.
no, the Todd McFarlane one. Oh, I didn't put it back in there.
Ah! I was about to say I'll click reload just in case.
No. I might have took that one out by mistake. Around to try to get it. Folks.
Right.
But no,
I'm just like,
it was.
what is he talking about? There's nothing there.
Yeah, no, I totally forgot that. I forgot the blank.
Now I'm waiting for this gigantic page to load again.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Keep going with the one.
All right. Well, I'm still waiting for the page
actually,
to load.
No. Actually, you didn't do that. You were absolutely right. I forgot I moved that one to click. That's what.
Hold, I've got a sound effect for this.
Just stand there in your wrongness and be wrong and get used to it.
So you can use that one for yourself. I see that. Not a problem.
That was. I happen to be like kind of just playing the West Wing, just for, I don't know, I just had it on in the background. I don't know what I was doing, but when I saw that, I was like, I gotta get that drop, man. I gotta get that sound.
Okay, I was gonna ask you where that came from, and you just answered that question.
Yeah, it's the West Wing. I was gonna say, if you don't recognize Martin Sheen's voice, right? All right, let me get back to the story because I clicked reload in this gigantic and our show notes had to reload. So let's see, where are we?
Spirited Away, like you.
Right. Let me see. I think I pulled. Come on. Okay. To mark the occasion, Studio Ghibli announced the release of that themed baseball jacket, Spirited Away themed baseball jacket, bearing the decals featuring the bathhouse and No Face devouring one of the workers, Aogeru. The jacket is available in 4 sizes: small, medium, large, and extra large, and can be purchased online at Studio Ghibli's merchandise store. They will be shipped out in early February. Cool.
Moving right along.
I've only watched bits and pieces, but they are on HBO Max, so it's about time either of us did it.
Yeah,
or both of us.
So. I suppose that is true. Garth Ennis creates his own Time Bandit with a new series, Marjorie. The Boys creator Garth Ennis, superheroes for Time Bandits in his own series, Marjorie Finnegan. Illustrated by one of his longtime artistic partners, Goran Zuka. Ennis's Marjorie Finnegan follows a titular temporal criminal as she races up and down the time stream for ways to make money while trying to keep one step ahead of time police as well as X. Time travel inspires endless possibilities, all kinds of fun, and one thing Marge liked. This is my own spin on time travel tale with a twist or two, like you heard while I was thinking about the conundrums temporal mischief. And there is some preview pages along here, and it's going to go on May 4th, 5th. Excuse me, May. That go check it out. Next.
All right, next up in a piece from the Washington Post. It's a story about Roy Okupe dreamed of creating an African superhero universe. He discovered superheroes from the Transformers and X-Men cartoons while growing up in Lagos, Nigeria. Luckily, he was able to avoid Wanda blowing stuff up because he arrived in the United States in 2002 at the age of 17. The same year, Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man movie broke records at the box office and made superheroes a mainstay in theaters. Let's see here. He had a dream to start his own African superhero universe. And in 2015, he decided to introduce his heroes to the world by self-publishing comic books. Now in 2021, Okupe's dream will become mainstream. Oregon-based Dark Horse Comics, the legendary home of Hellboy, Sin City, and the Umbrella Academy, is acquiring the rights to republish the comics from Okupe's company, Unique Studios, and publish new tales in the future. The deal makes Okupe one of the rising stars of a comic industry that has made efforts to diversify over the last decade and opens up a whole new world of potential Hollywood possibilities. Good for him.
Yeah, so I believe, like I said, I've seen some of the Unique Studios books from comic books. Malika, Warrior Queen, watching the video. I believe I saw on another article that there's also a 10 book deal with Dark Horse that's going on with this. I'm not entirely sure what's all about, but I've seen this article and I saw another article. But regardless, it is good for Royer. I think it's Royer. I'm not sure. Wrong, you might be right about Roy. I heard his name pronounced out loud. Apologies, fans. But yeah, I've definitely seen somebody's out and about. Fairly certain. That definitely a good deal for him and his.
Mm-hmm.
Last but not least, Shield is now a real government program in the U.S. and Canada.
Unbelievable.
The Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. may be off the air, but its real world name may live on in the Defense Force of the United States and Canada. The strategic homeland integrated ecosystem for layered defense. The potential component of NORAD, aerospace agency that provides security for the two nations. But basically it's sword. No, Ports CBC. Broadcasting. Wait, that's
Canadian Broadcasting Company. Yeah.
Thank you. This version calls for monitoring potential air, land, and space-based threats to two countries. Real-time data now. It's kind of sword. Part of NORAD. That's kind of fun. That's pretty.
Listen, I thought it was pretty funny to hear that. I also I also saw some idiots online who are like, well, if this had been, this would have been skewered like Space Force was under the previous administration, who shall not be named, right? Agent Orange. But yeah, I laughed when I saw this. I was like, okay, that's a clever acronym,
right? And I'm sure there's someone who came up, someone was in that room naming that just had. There was like, no, totally got to do this.
Oh boy!
But yeah, so
the fact that it starts with strategic,
right?
That's
what I'm saying.
Is the sign that someone was like, oh, exactly. I know what we can call this.
Not only that, strategic homeland. Like, come on, those is that is just totally straight up how Shield, or at least a version of Shield, acronym goes.
Right.
So
Yeah, no, I was about to say the modern one.
right.
Based off of whatchamacallit, based off the MCU, and I want to say Ultimates also.
That's probably true. I'm not entirely sure actually.
I
That's
don't
probably
remember.
that feels true.
Right. I remember seeing this and be like, all right, so it's the same thing for the first two letters. It's the
Right.
integrated where it diverges.
Well, clearly they didn't want to get sued also. So, no, we can't go. We cannot go the whole way with this. Gotta we gotta spin it a little bit. But someone in that meeting is definitely a comic book fan. There's got to. You cannot tell me any other.
Of course.
But that is the news. I actually apparently Agents of S.H.I.E.L.'s Chloe Bennett was revealed to have COVID-19.
Oh no.
I don't know. Oh wait, that was at the beginning.
Hope so.
Time for that story.
I hope so.
So anyway, folks, that is the news for this evening. We got another ad read.
Yes, our last ad read of the night is for Wink, the personalized wine club. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to Cabernet to Torronté, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Ever try an orange wine? Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your taste and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. To place your first order with $20 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us/wink. That's cspn.us/WINC. Wink wines through CSPN. Do it today.
I just tried Shadow for the first time ever. Not from Wink. That, folks, is the end of this here Comic Book Chronicles for this evening. Weird that we went longer than the 400th episode. Four other people.
I was trying to. This is why I started rapid fire early.
I know. That's like, and that was the intention of. Cannot talk about Shield.
Yeah.
Some of the others. But regardless, folks, thank you for coming out for this here episode. I have been Roddy Cats, your host, and you can find me at Roddy Cat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nurse Need on Twitter. And you can also find me at CB Caps on Instagram, which has been updated with some Agent _70 on Twitter and Instagram. PC and _Dirt, who, if you have watched watched or heard the last episode, you have seen a glimpse of. PC _Dirt on Twitter, Pop Culture Net on Twitter, popculturenetwork.com, and his umbrella sites in, and possibly still on the Byte or replace. Excuse me, Divine Replacement Byte BYTE comic review. Tim DOGG98, the Osiris of this ish on Twitter, or this is Tim DOGG98 on Twitter. The Click Nation on Twitter. That's the KLIQNATION, all one word. TheClickNation.com. And also CB Chron on Twitter, which is the Comic Book Chronicles account. And comic book resources over there right in this face. You can find this here podcast on the Ghost Lizard Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find this podcast on your podcast perusal choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast Network.
Hit like and subscribe and give us 5-star reviews.
You could also find us recording live here every Thursday night, 9:30 on YouTube channel of the Nation.com/Nation, and also Twitch.tv/Comic Chronicles. Oh,
Hit like and subscribe and leave us reviews.
indeed, and of course the fact. WandaVision comes out in a couple of hours from this recording, so cool. But we will be back next week for another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles, and this is where we say
Peace. One.
Wakanda forever!